choice of listing for you. Won with the Champions League tonight. Paris Saint-Germain against Spurs is on Sports Extra now with Conor McNamara and Paul Robinson.
And the pre-match build-up, always a big Parisian production. We've had the light show, the loud music. They have shown a video featuring some of Marquinhos' career highlights. The Brazilian central defender for Paris Saint-Germain tonight making the 500th appearance of his career for the club. It's a very young Paris Saint-Germain team, and for the past couple of years he's been the only player over 30 in it. As Tottenham tonight in the French capital, looking to bounce back from the disappointment of the North London derby at the Emirates on Sunday. The teams emerge from the tunnel at Parc des Princes in Paris, the stadium which has hosted 6 major UEFA finals over the years. Leeds played in a European Cup final here in 1975. Liverpool beat Real Madrid here in the final in 1981. Arsenal lost a UEFA Cup final here, famous for Naeem's last-minute 40-yard lob over David Seaman. So much history, particularly involving English clubs at this ground. And it is a venue this evening where Tottenham are looking to stabilise things, but it could hardly be more difficult away from home at the reigning Champions League holders. Paul Robinson is alongside me. Thomas Frank needed to make changes, but he's gone big with those changes. 5 tonight.
Certainly has a very disappointing result, but more so performance on Sunday against the old arch enemy, against Arsenal. They were really poor. He's coming for a lot of criticism, both personally and the team have as well. And they come here to Paris this evening looking for a performance. Nobody expects them to come here and win, but some people want a performance. They want an improvement in performance. And as you say, changes had to be made. But I, for one, thought changes would be made to the formation. And he's surprised us. He hasn't, but the changes are personnel changes.
Nice little element to this game, the fact it is reigning Champions League holders against reigning Europa League holders. This, in essence, a replay of the UEFA Super Cup final, which was played in August. A game which you might remember Spurs did start with 3 at the back. They went 2-0 up in that game, but Paris Saint-Germain came back to level by the end of the 90 minutes, and the French team went on to win on penalties in the end. Let's give you a rundown of the teams in full. Paris Saint-Germain, who don't have any Ousmane Dembele or indeed Desiré Doué or Achraf Hakimi, so they're not at full strength, the European champions. Lucas Chevalier, Donnarumma's replacement as first-choice goalkeeper, placed behind a back 4 that sees Warren Zaire-Emery, the exciting teenager, slot in again at right back. He's been doing that regularly in recent weeks. Marquinhos is alongside William Pacho in the centre, with the quite brilliant Nuno Mendes at left back. 3 in midfield, João Neves, who has been PSG's top scorer this season, Vitinha and Fabian Ruiz. And then it's a front 3 of Bradley Barcola, Ivica Kvaratskhelia and the 18-year-old Quentin Ingentu, who's made quite a name for himself. He's an under-19 attacker for France. He's come through the academy. He was selected to go play for the French under-20s this month, but Paris Saint-Germain did not release him to let him go. And this tonight is his 10th appearance in the first team. But it's quite a statement putting him in to lead the attack from the start tonight.
Well, he's clearly a player that they rate. He's come through the academy here at PSG. And I think he's going to be certainly one to watch for the future. They've got some forward players missing tonight. Dembele only fit enough for the bench. Ramos as well on the bench. He's one that I thought would have started. But the front 3 is still very dangerous. Jantu, Barcola and Kvaratskhelia. Just be interesting to see which one of the 3 play down the middle.
Spurs team, Guglielmo Vicario in goal. We think they're going to start with a 3 central defensive system, as they did at Arsenal without great results on Sunday. Archie Gray comes into the team tonight. It's his first appearance in over a month. He'll play alongside Christian Romero and Mickey van de Ven. The wing-backs, Jed Spence, will slot back over to the left-hand side, showing his versatility. And Pedro Porro, who didn't start at Arsenal on Sunday, came on as a sub in the game. He's back in to play at right wing-back tonight. Pape Sarr, Lucas Perval and Rodrigo Bentancur are the 3 in midfield. And then leading the attack, Richarlison, who scored from the furthest out distance of any Premier League player this season when he struck one over David Raya on Sunday at Arsenal, alongside Randall Kolo Muani, who is on loan from Paris Saint-Germain. But the new rules of the Champions League this season say that you are eligible to play against your parent club. And what an evening this would be, Paul, for Randall Kolo Muani to finally get his first Tottenham goal.
He's had a bit of a stop-start really to his Tottenham career, hasn't he? Picked up a couple of very unfortunate injuries, then fractured his jaw. He's down in front of us here, playing with a face mask on this evening. But what an opportunity for him. I think that rule's a sensible rule. If your club's willing to let you go, let them play against you.
Underway in Paris, the cauldron of noise, as it always is at this grand old stadium. It is Paris Saint-Germain against Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs in their change strip this evening. They're in bright, almost fluorescent yellow. Jed Spence allows the ball to roll out of play, knowing it'll be a Spurs throw-in on the left-hand side. For Thomas Frank, his first season playing in the Champions League, and Tottenham Hotspur have yet to lose in this competition this season. Vicario pumps it long towards Colomboani. He's got that visible headgear on. He's protecting the jaw injury. Wins his first challenge of a header in the air. Berival tries to keep it in play down by the byline. And the big Ecuadorian Willem Pacho is there to shield it and ensure the ball does go out for a goal kick to Paris Saint-Germain. 0-0 in the early stages on 5 Live Sports Extra.
Immediately Tottenham go long, straight from the kick-off. It goes back to Vicario and it goes long. Gets a goal kick and it goes long towards Colomboani. Talk about the formation. It does look very defensive on paper. They've got to make sure that it's a back 3 and a midfield 5 when they're in possession, and try and have some forward impetus. The wide players for PSG are where the danger is. The fullbacks, we know how good that they are. Goal contributions, assists, and actually scoring goals themselves. A lot of the threat comes in wide areas from PSG. So for Tottenham, it's very, very important that the wing-backs are attacking minded this evening.
Bentancur from midway inside his own half goes direct and long again. Richarlison will sprint after it. Marquinhos, his fellow Brazilian, had a head start and is able to touch the ball back to Chevalier, the Paris Saint-Germain goalkeeper. PSG all in dark navy tonight, as Zaire Emery gives it on to Kvaratskhelia, and from a deep position he launches Paris Saint-Germain on the attack here. Good work from Fabian Ruiz to hold on to possession. They've worked a bit of space for Nuno Mendes down the left-hand side. We haven't played 2 minutes yet in Paris. PSG 0, Spurs 0. This is Bradley Barcola on the left-hand side, well dealt with by Pedro Porro, who should be fresh tonight. Porro makes a bit of hard work of clearing the ball away here. Spurs on the edge of their own penalty area, and they lose possession inside their own half trying to play it out. Paul Robinson.
Archie Gray doesn't look like he's actually sitting in a back 3. It looks like he's sitting as a defensive holding midfielder. They've started off with a back 4 with Porro, Van der Ven, Romero and Jed Spence. Archie Gray looks to be one of the deep line midfielders, but as we talk now, he's progressing higher up the field and putting pressure on, so the formation maybe isn't as defensive as we first expected.
And that wouldn't be a surprise. We both sort of raised eyebrows when the starting 11s were named. Given that 3 of the back didn't work so well against Arsenal on Sunday, let's see how things settle down over the early stages of the game.
He's definitely higher up, Archie Gray. You can see him now. Chevalier's got the ball, the PSG goalkeeper. They're trying to play out from the back. Archie Gray's high up the field, joining the press to win the ball back higher up the field.
So Paris Saint-Germain in possession on the right-hand side. And a bit of room to run into for Warren Zaire Emery. Paris Saint-Germain work it over to Bradley Barcola on the left-hand side. Here's the French international to the edge of the penalty area. Back to Zaire Emery, who tries to crack in a shot from the edge of the penalty area. And it's blocked away by Pape Sarr, and that goes out. In fact, it was Bentancur who made the block. That goes out for a throw into Paris Saint-Germain on the left-hand side. Still 0-0.
Yeah, Bentancur's the one out of the midfield bunch that's been asked to drop back and sit defensively. Him and Archie Gray are the ones that are looking like they're going to protect the back 4. Bergvall on the left-hand side. It's an interesting formation for Thomas Frank. He's certainly kept us guessing.
Here is Kvaratskhelia, who normally plays off the left wing, but he's on the right-hand side for Paris Saint-Germain at the moment. Tries to send it across, but it's blocked away by Jed Spence, and the ball goes out for a throw into Paris Saint-Germain on the far side. 0-0. Sports Extra from BBC Radio 5 Live. Paris Saint-Germain, who suffered their first Champions League defeat as reigning champions last time out against Bayern Munich. It was an exciting game. I remember working on that match. You might remember Luis Diaz was sent off for Bayern Munich. Here is Barcola again to the edge of the penalty area. Little touch from João Neves and a shot from Zaire Emery, and that's charged down again. It was Archie Gray who made the block. Colomboani tries to bring the ball out of defence for Tottenham, rolls it back to Pedro Porro. Spurs hold on to possession, but it's back to Mickey van der Ven, and Tottenham in time actually give it all the way back to the goalkeeper Vicario. 0-0.
You can see with Tottenham already, they're trying to work hard as a unit, trying to close the gaps. We talk all the time about holes and the gaps and the space between the lines. They're trying to thwart PSG and not give them any space to play through them.
This is Pedro Porro down the right-hand side for Spurs. Plays in an early ball. Great delivery to pick out Berival. who did really well to control it down with his chest, and then a curious touch sees it go straight out for a throw-in. I think he was just trying to nudge it to himself to control it there, but he got way too much on it, Barry Van, and the ball ends up going out of play.
Yeah, it was a strange touch from the youngster inside the 18-yard box. Kind of took it down in his chest, didn't he? Went to swivel on it with his left foot. It kind of hit his shin and went out for a throw-in over on the far side.
Yep, did really well initially, the Swedish teenager. Here come Paris Saint-Germain again. It's been an open game in the early stages. Nuno Mendes can't pick out his pass. Pedro Porro gives it up to Richarlison, just inside Paris Saint-Germain's half. Back into the middle of the midfield near the centre circle now, and Pape Sarr. And then Bentancur will roll it back to Mickey van der Ven. It's worth noting that last season, when Paris Saint-Germain went on to win the whole thing, they actually started their Champions League campaign really poorly. They had 3 defeats and a draw in their first 5 Champions League games. In the old days, you'd be doing well to get out of the group with that. Of course, it's the new league phase system, and that format really helped them, and they grew and grew, and by the time they reached the knockout stages, Paris Saint-Germain were absolutely flowing. And they played a lot of English clubs as well last season, Paul.
Good, we got a few nice trips, didn't we? It was fantastic. I mean, we watched them a lot last year, and they were a sensational team. They really were. I think the fluidity that they had, the 4-3-3 structure, but the wide players that influenced the attacking areas, they were a joy to watch. They just grew in confidence and in performance the whole season, and they carried it on in the Club World Cup, and I was so surprised that they didn't go on and lift that trophy.
Jed Spence tried to bring the ball into the Paris Saint-Germain penalty area there, and Nuno Mendes controlling on the edge of the box, can clear only as far as Archie Gray. Spurs get it back inside the centre circle with the Argentinian Christian Romero. There was 8 games last season that Paris Saint-Germain played against English clubs in the Champions League. They faced Arsenal and City in the league phase, and then they had 2-legged knockout ties, and they won them all against Liverpool, Villa, and then of course Arsenal. Here's Pape Sarr, good work down the right hand side, gives it back to Pedro Porro, just stretching to get there ahead of Fabian Ruiz, and he doesn't get a clean contact, and the ball rises out over the crossbar and out for a goal kick to Paris Saint-Germain. It's still the early stages of this 8 o'clock kickoff. We haven't played 7 minutes yet. It is PSG 0, Tottenham 0.
Initial signs from Thomas Frank down there on the touchline, trying to get some messages onto his players. I don't think he'd be disappointed the way that his team have started. Yes, they've been deep when out of possession, but they've actually started on the front foot, and they look so much more comfortable already. I know it's early in this formation than they did at the weekend.
Agreed. This is Jed Spence delivery and looking for Richarlison. Good leap in there by Marquinhos to win the header. Marquinhos, who I saw this month, has moved up to 103 caps now. We'll be hoping to be part of the Brazilian squad for the World Cup next summer. Tonight only his 500th appearance for Paris Saint-Germain as the home side come on the counter-attack here. It's the 18-year-old Quentin Injantu. Strong challenge comes in on him, but the loose ball is picked up by Kvaratskhelia to the edge of the Tottenham penalty area. Ruiz fancies a shot, good power on it, and it just veers away from the target. Fabian Ruiz, who has scored 1 goal this season, draws the first shot in anger of this Champions League game tonight. That was so close to an opening goal.
That was a whisker away from Vicario's right-hand post, and you know how close it was. The goalkeeper's gone full length, stretching with his right arm right across the goal. Doesn't get anywhere near it, but that's a warning for Tottenham, because if you are going to drop off and you are going to sit deep, don't leave those spaces around the edge of the box, 20-25 yards. Players like Fabian Ruiz, they will let go and they will almost hit the target like they did.
Luis Enrique, the Paris Saint-Germain coach, is watching the game from high up in the stands. He's got a monitor, he's got a laptop in front of him. He's got these huge headphones. They're bigger than our commentary headphones. He looks like he's sort of air traffic control or something up there, giving instructions down to the technical area. PSG 0, Tottenham 0, 8 minutes played. And Spurs 4-1 defeated Arsenal on Sunday. Was the heaviest defeat of the job so far for Thomas Frank, but his team have started well here. That said, the best chance of the game has just fallen to Paris Saint-Germain, and Fabian Ruiz was not far away. It's a free kick to Spurs. Attacking position, opportunity to send most of their yellow shirts forward. Pedro Porro standing over it. As Paris Saint-Germain hold a high line inside their penalty area. Porro tries to play in behind that, looking for Christian Romero, who gone forward down the left-hand side, but too many defenders back there, and that is headed out of play for a Spurs throw-in on the left-hand side. João Neves with the last touch there.
It's a really interesting defensive line there from PSG. Very, very high. 8 players all in a line within an arm's length of each other. Not marking anyone in particular, it was just a solid defensive line. They almost put their arms out, touched each other as though nothing's going to get through, and they were very, very high. Difficult to attack with a free kick in behind a line like that.
Attacking throw into Spurs. Lucas Beribal has it. He's taking as long a run-up as the advertising hoardings allow. Throws it back to Jed Spence. Paris Saint-Germain were ready for it to be pumped into the box. Eventually the ball is delivered by Spence, but Nuno Mendes is able to head it away. Pape Sarr regains control of the ball in the middle of the midfield. And now Porro will swing it back out to the left-hand side to where Berrival had taken that throw in just a moment ago. He's up against João Neves, who's playing as the right-back for Paris Saint-Germain. It's him and not Warren Zaire-Emery in these early stages this evening. Gray tries to flick the ball on. Decent attempt, trying to pick out Randall Kolo Muani. Too many Paris Saint-Germain defenders back there, and very neat and tidy. Vitinha pushes it to his Portuguese international colleague Nuno Mendes, and now a glorious ball over the top, and Barcola is in after it. Bentancur has to try and get back. Poor pass though from Barcola, and Spurs regain possession. 10 minutes played, 0-0 on 5 Live Sports Extra.
They've always got that threat on the break with Paris. As soon as they get the turnover possession, the pace that they've got in the front three.
Here comes Bradley Barcola. This is a good surging run, but Bentancur timed his sliding tackle to perfection, and Spurs are doing well in those 50-50 battles so far.
And that's something that Thomas Frank highlighted recently in his pre-match press conference, didn't he? Said that they've spoken openly and honestly in the last 2 days.
Here comes Bergvall down the left-hand side. João Neves trying to keep up with them, and in the end, it's not really a shot and it's not really a cross. It's a poor outcome from what was a promising position for Bergvall.
That's a really, really good opportunity for Tottenham. They had a 3-against-3 situation. Bergvall on the left-hand side of the box. He had Kolo Muani and Richarlison in the centre of the 18-yard box. He needed to fizz a ball right across the 6-yard box between the defenders and the goalkeeper. Instead, he gets the execution all wrong and it goes straight to the goalkeeper's arms. If Tottenham are to get anything tonight, opportunities like that cannot be wasted.
A cold evening in Paris, temperatures just above freezing. Paris Saint-Germain 0, Tottenham 0. Spurs, who had their first 0-0 draw in a very long time recently in the Champions League, was 0-0 against Monaco earlier on in this group. That ended what had been a run of 125 matches without a goalless draw in all competitions. Ange Postecoglou, in his time at Spurs, there was never, not one single 0-0 draw. I mean, there's so many goals at both ends when Postecoglou was in charge.
It's amazing, isn't it, the Ange Postecoglou regime, about how open and attacking they were. Immediately, Thomas Frank, now not even a quarter away through the season, he's getting moaned at for being too pragmatic and defensive.
You can't win, can you? You absolutely can't
but
win.
In the Champions League, listen, 7 clean sheets in the last 13 Champions League and Europa League games. Most of any team in European competitions the last 13 games, Tottenham. So defensively in Europe, they've been good.
Yeah, they've only conceded twice in the Champions League this season. Tottenham Hotspur under Thomas Frank. Vitinha tries to play his way out here for Paris Saint-Germain. Mickey van der Ven wins a header. Marquinhos will get it down on the deck on the edge of the PSG penalty area. There was a solid pass in there from João Neves. He needed a more delicate touch, and he's given the possession away. Lovely little flick by Richarlison. Archie Gray is into the penalty area, tries to pull it back, but Marquinhos makes the interception. That was another promising situation for Spurs. They're doing well here in the early stages in Paris.
They've already showed more attacking intent in the first 12 and a half minutes than they did in the whole game on Sunday. Going back to Sunday, how disappointing that performance was. The performance, listen, we're 12 minutes in. It's night and day. You can see a whole change in mentality, a whole change in formation and an attacking mindset. Yes, defensively be solid, but sit with a base of 4. And then in front of you, the midfielder's job is to protect that base. But when in possession, actually get forward and support the attacking players. They've been so much better.
Other Premier League clubs in European action tonight. What about this for a scoreline from Anfield? Liverpool 0. PSV 1. Ivan Perisic, a former Spurs player, has scored an early penalty in that game, so the pressure is not relenting on Arne Slot. Spurs preparing to take another attacking throw in here. Arsenal still 0-0 against Bayern Munich, as Spurs send plenty of players towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Bergvall doesn't quite get the distance that would have been required. It's a foul throw from Bergvall. Don't know if it slipped from his fingers or something, but it didn't come off his hands right at all. And the German referee tonight, Felix Wehr, says that is a foul throw and possession back to Paris Saint-Germain, still 0-0.
Yeah, that game for Liverpool tonight that you touched on, PSV, it's not going to be an easy game. They've won the last 8 league games straight in a row. The top 6 points clear of Feyenoord. It's probably a game that Liverpool, you look at, you think they win that. It's an ideal game for them. But in the current state of their performances, it's proven to be tough already. Yeah,
big moment. Dominic Szoboszlai has just grabbed an equaliser. Liverpool 1, PSV 1. Commentary of Arsenal against Bayern Munich is available right now over on our sister station 5 Live. And in the other games today. Copenhagen won earlier on in the early kick-off. Monaco were held to a 2-2 draw in Cyprus against Paphos. This is Richarlison in possession for Tottenham Hotspur. In Paris tonight against the reigning Champions League holders Paris Saint-Germain. Good tigerish play from Richarlison, who looked like he was going to lose out there, but he was determined and he held on to possession, and now Papsar will give it back to Bentancur.
It's been good from Tottenham, it really has. You can certainly see a shift from the weekend. I mean, you would hope from a Tottenham fan's point of view that was bottomed out at the weekend. You know, that was the lowest ever of the season, and you're going to have to look forward and go forward from there. You can certainly look back and pick the bones, unpack that performance and find a lot that was wrong, but they haven't had a lot of time between then and now to get things right. Obviously a lot of focus would have been on recovery, the manager's thinking what he'll have been doing, personnel changes, formation changes, and they played so well in the Super Cup in pre-season against PSG. He will have a plan tonight, and you can see that already.
In the Championship, West Bromwich Albion have just taken the lead in a local derby against Birmingham City. Atletico Madrid are in front against Inter. Former Manchester City player Julian Alvarez has scored a goal there. And Sporting are down to 10 men in their game. Morten Hjulmand has been sent off in the early stages of their match against Club Bruges this evening. And they'll have played just a quarter of an hour there, as we've done here at Parc des Princes. Paris Saint-Germain 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. One really good chance for Fabian Ruiz for the reigning European Cup holders. But Spurs are doing okay, and they've asked a few questions of their own this evening so far.
And the monitor in front of us that just flashed up with the possession stats, Tottenham had 47% possession, which away from home against the reigning European champions, you would say is not bad, especially going back to the weekend when at times they had less than 20% possession in that game. I think it took Richarlison more than 15-16 minutes to have a touch in the opposition half at the weekend.
Good touch from Randall Colomboani against his parent team. Now Petro Porro's going to try and charge down the right wing for Spurs. Wanted to nudge it into Bergvall, but he was closely policed in that area by Nuno Mendes. Paris Saint-Germain regain possession of the former Wolverhampton Wanderers player. Vitinha will roll it back to Marquinhos on the edge of the D, and Paris Saint-Germain will look to build forward from there. PSG played from right to left as we look down in the all dark outfit, bright luminous pink numbers on the back of it. Spurs in the change kit tonight, and they're wearing bright yellow. Vitinha has it, centre circle, surveying all ahead of him. He's the man who very often makes Paris Saint-Germain tick, is Vitinha. Gives the ball back to Pacho, and now to the near touchline to Nuno Mendes. Tries to play between the lines now. There's a touch of Njaddu, and now out to Barcon on the left hand side. And gradually Paris Saint-Germain are making their way deeper and deeper into Tottenham territory. Vitinha gets involved again, plays it to the right hand side to João Neves. João Neves, who's got 6 goals in his last 6 games for club and country, gets it back again from Warren Zaire-Emery. Now Kvaratskhelia, right hand side of the Tottenham penalty area that they're defending. And Paris Saint-Germain very hogging possession at the moment. Fabian Ruiz gives it over to the near touchline. Njaddu, this young exciting kid who's broken into the team lately, gives it to Kvaratskhelia. Right-footed shot is just wide of the post. We've seen him do that so often in recent seasons. Gets it onto his right boot and bends it into the far corner. There was a lot of power in that. There was a lot of bodies in the way, and it just didn't have the bend it needed at the end of it.
I thought it was in. From where we're sitting, I originally thought it was in. Looking at the replay now, it's missed the far post by a good yard or so, but it had Vicario worried. Good play by PSG down the left-hand side. Ball into Kvaratskhelia, and that's what he does. He creates himself space. His first touch is really good, just gets it out of his feet, then he opens himself up. Right foot, curling shot to the left of Vicario. Initially it looked closer than it was, but again, it's another warning shot for Tottenham. Don't drop off too deep, because they are not afraid to shoot from range.
Kvaratskhelia, who's already scored 2 goals in the Champions League this season. He scored against Atalanta, he scored against Leverkusen. The player who got 2 league winners' medals last season. You might remember he joined Paris Saint-Germain from Napoli in January. He had played 17 games for Napoli in the first half of the season, so that meant he was able to get a Serie A winners' medal. And then of course he goes to Paris Saint-Germain, he plays in all their games, and he ends up with a French Ligue 1 medal as well. That's not a bad campaign when you add in the Champions League as well.
And a lot of people raised eyebrows when you looked at what PSG paid for him, but what a quality player. Honestly, I loved watching him last year. He's got a touch of class. He's got a bit of old-fashionedness about him. He's got grit and determination, but he's got a lovely touch on the ball. His ball recycling, the way that he keeps the ball, but his first thought is always to attack his fullback. He can go outside, he can go inside, causes his team so many problems, the Georgian.
Yeah, he scored in the Champions League final against Inter back end of last season. Kvaratskhelia, remember that game which finished 5-0, biggest ever margin of victory in either a Champions League or an old European Cup final. So those are the standards that Paris Saint-Germain have set. We are watching here their defence of the crown at home tonight against Tottenham Hotspur in the Champions League this season. As things stand in the table, Paris Saint-Germain are in 4th place. Spurs, with results elsewhere, have now been pushed back for now to 11th as things stand.
I remember my first game that I did with Kvaratskhelia playing. I daren't touch his name.
Yeah.
I must have butchered
He'd
it
a
so
quiet
many
game,
times.
that one.
when I first did the first 10 or 15 minutes, until I was listening to the other commentator, it was just a left winger. It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, there's quite a lot going on there. Here comes Bradley Barcola down the left-hand side. Good challenge in on him from Christian Romero. Barcola, who tried to skip over the challenge, but Romero kept his eye on the ball, stretched out his right leg and made contact and stopped Paris Saint-Germain in their flow there. This is Marquinhos, 31-year-old now, the old man of this Paris Saint-Germain team, giving it to Kvaratskhelia, peeling in off the wing on the right-hand side. Back to Vitinha now, still 10 yards outside the penalty area. Floats one really dangerously in front of Vicario, and it's hooked away by Romero. It was Warren Zaire-Emery who got on the end of a brilliant dinked pass into the 6-yard box. Zaire-Emery got a touch on it. It almost like he flicked it up for himself and then tried to head it forward, and Vicario was able to adapt just about, but it was Romero who made the main contact to clear the ball away. Another dangerous moment to the back for Spurs, still 0-0.
It was a wonderful ball over the top, wasn't it? The Spurs defence holding a high line. It was almost one of those scoop passes that you see. The ball was almost stopped. Vitinha just scoops it over the top, and the fullback Zaire-Emery gets on the wrong side of Bergwall. His first touch isn't great, which pops it up in the air, allows Vicario to come and get some kind of purchase on the ball, takes it away from the fullback, and then eventually it's cleared from Romero.
So 20 minutes played in Paris. Paris Saint-Germain 0, Tottenham 0. Portsmouth are down to 10 men in the Championship. Terry Devlin has been shown a red card. Real Madrid this evening went 1-0 down away at Olympiacos, but they've just got back on level terms. Kylian Mbappe has scored there. And a breakthrough in our 5 live commentary game. Arsenal have taken the lead against Bayern Munich. Jurriën Timber has scored. Arsenal 1, Bayern Munich 0. What a season this is being for Mikel Arteta. You can listen to that game right now over on 5 Live. Arsenal who take on Chelsea in the Premier League on Sunday, and that'll be first against second in the Premier League. Here is Kvaratskhelia down the right hand side for Paris Saint-Germain, tries to get on the end of a return pass from Fabian Ruiz. PSG seeing more of the ball in attacking areas now. Zaire-Emery back to Kvaratskhelia, tricky little ball in. Inchantu tries to get there. Romero reacted well, and Vicario comes out to pick up the pieces. PSG 0, Tottenham 0.
You can see now Paris are trying to thread little balls down the side of the Tottenham defenders. When they do drop back, the likes of Archie Gray and Bentancur sit alongside Van de Ven and Romero, try and plug the holes, and what PSG are trying to do is get down the side, slot little passes. It's very intricate. They've almost got in once or twice.
Jed Spence comes to the attack for Spurs, showing a clean pair of heels too. Zaire-Emery trying to keep up with him. Jed Spence into the penalty area. What a recovery from Warren Zaire-Emery. He probably tracked that back about 60 yards to slide in to cut out the attempted cross, and the ball goes out for a corner.
Space just opened up in front of Jed Spence, didn't it, down this left-hand side? We know he's got pace, but the PSG defence just backed off, defended the width of their own 18-yard box, and he does well in the end, Jed Spence, because he didn't have much support. Wins his team a corner.
We've just seen a replay of the Warren Zaire-Emery chance a moment ago. That was some chance. He just doesn't control it properly. His first touch after the ball was played through to him on the edge of the 6-yard box was to push it up in the air, and once it's up in the air, the goalkeeper was always going to be the favourite to come and get a touch on it. But had Zaire-Emery been able to just trap that ball down low, well, then Paris Saint-Germain would surely have taken the lead. Midway through the first half at Parc des Princes, this is 5 Live Sports Extra. The Champions League phase is the Champions League holders against the Europa League holders. 0-0 PSG against Spurs. Corner is swung in by Pedro Porro, and out comes Lucas Chevalier, and he's able to clear the ball away, but Spurs will try and send it right back into their opponent's penalty area. Back out to Porro, who stayed out wide left, having taken the corner. Onto his right boot, flashes in a low delivery. Van de Ven gets a little flick on. Kvaratskhelia is under pressure, and he puts it out for what would have been a corner, but the offside flag is raised, and that's going to be a free kick to Paris Saint-Germain. Paul Robinson.
That could be an area that Tottenham exploit tonight from set plays, Looking at PSG, they're marking zonally again. Spoke earlier on about them, the way that they marked and held a high line from the free kick. Zonal marking from the corners gives Tottenham an opportunity, put bodies in the box, and it's all about the delivery, and they have got the quality with Pedro Porro back in the team today.
Oh, what about this from former Paris Saint-Germain player Kylian Mbappe? He scored 2 goals in 2 minutes, and Real Madrid, who were 1-0 down against Olympiacos, have already been able to turn that around, and they lead by 2 goals to 1. In Paris, still 0-0 between Paris Saint-Germain and Spurs here on Sports Extra. As Warren Zaire-Emery, the only outfield player who played in all of PSG's games in all competitions this season so far, gives it up to Kvaratskhelia, and he'll roll it back into Marquinhos, who got his 100th cap for Brazil in September, into the midfield, and Vitinha keeps things moving back out to Zaire-Emery again on the right hand side. 20 yards now into Tottenham territory. Kvaratskhelia gives it back to João Neves, and then a late challenge from Richarlison in at João Neves, and both players have been hurt there. Richarlison trying to put a bit of pressure. I think he was late. The pass had already been played, and he cannoned into João Neves. What did you see of that, Paul?
I don't know if Richarlison's just covering his own tracks here. I think he gives João Neves a little one once the ball had gone. He's holding his neck, complaining to the referee. Ball goes. Richarlison, looking at the replay, stands his ground, sticks one into João Neves. And Richarlison, in true Richarlison fashion, goes down when the ball's already gone, says, "I'm hurt as well, referee, please don't book me." He was late, Richarlison, that wasn't needed.
Yeah, and much complaint about that from the Paris Saint-Germain players, not just João Neves, who was on the receiving end of it. Anyway, no further sanction. It's a free kick to Paris Saint-Germain. Richarlison maybe gets away with that one. Paris Saint-Germain 0, Tottenham Hotspur 0. Kvaratskhelia increasingly seeing a lot of the ball on the right wing at the moment. 10 yards outside the Tottenham penalty area, sees a little gap, tries to burst into it. It's all on his left boot, and he leaves the ball behind him just before getting into the box. Spurs haven't been able to fully capitalise on that, though. They can't get control of it themselves. João Neves into Vitinha. The 2 Portuguese players exchange a few passes, and then João Neves pings it over to the near touchline to another Portuguese international, Nuno Mendes. He's got Barcola ahead of him, and now a ball infield to Quintin Njantu, and he's got Christian Romero for company, but he's done well. The youngster holds on to position. Paris Saint-Germain still have it left-hand side of the field as they come forward. 25 minutes played now. Sheffield United have taken the lead against Portsmouth. There's been a penalty scored there, and Sporting, who are down to 10 men, have just taken the lead at home against Bruges in the Champions League. That's one of the 8 o'clock kickoffs tonight. Here is Vitinha sitting deep at the moment, lashes it out to the near touchline. In Njantu, level with the edge of the Tottenham penalty area on the left-hand side, comes in field, gives it low to the feet of Warren Zaire-Emery. Possession stats with Tottenham saw an awful lot of in the first 15 minutes or so of the game. It's now very much swung pendulum-wise, and Paris Saint-Germain have all the ball at the moment. Nuno Mendes tries to get to the byline down the right-hand side. He's low ball in, cut out by Lucas Bergvall. Now Bentancur will try and drive out of defence. Papsar looks to return it to Bentancur, who didn't want to receive the return pass there. He wasn't fully committed to running after it, and Nuno Mendes is able to intercept as Paris Saint-Germain get it back on the halfway line once again. 27 minutes played, 0-0.
Tottenham have done very well at defending the width of their 18-yard box. A lot of Paris Saint-Germain's threat, what they have normally is in the full-back areas and the wide areas, that they've got quality. What they've tried to do from a Tottenham point of view is force them inside, force them into the yellow jerseys, and snuffle out the danger within the width of the 18-yard box without really getting any problems down the wide areas.
Paris Saint-Germain on the attack again. Kvaratskelia's pass just too far in front of Njantu. Romero's able to pick it up for Spurs, and then down goes Pedro Porro. Referee's whistle blows, he's been fouled, and that is a free kick to Spurs that will relieve some of the pressure. Paris Saint-Germain have only lost 1 home game this season. That was when Bayern Munich won here in the most recent Champions League game before tonight. There's only one other team that has come to this ground and not lost this season. That was Strasbourg in Ligue 1. And our managers there showing a close-up of Gonçalo Ramos, the Portuguese striker, and also Kang In Lee, the Korean, who had been expected to start tonight, but he's on the bench with Quintin Njantu being preferred in the team ahead of him.
Surprised that Gonçalo Ramos hasn't started this evening. When you look at the goals that he's got this season, 5 is their second top scorer behind João Neves, and with the injuries that they've got, obviously Dembele on the bench and Ramos on the bench, playing the youngster tonight. They've got a lot of faith in the youngster, Njantu, with Barcola and Kvaratskhelia. For Paris Saint-Germain, it's not quite clicked in the final third, because the three of them, none of the three of them are an out-and-out striker. So the interchange at the moment, there's been no real fluidity. It hasn't quite worked for them.
Gonçalo Ramos, who scored against Spurs the last time these sides met in the UEFA Super Cup final in August. So Paris Saint-Germain have possession. midway inside their own half. Oh, good work here by Papsard to get possession. He's won it off Nuno Mendes. He gives it into the penalty area to Kolo Muani. He slots one back behind his two teammates who were up with him. Richarlison was already in the box. Archie Gray had made a great run. Kolo Muani instinctively put it behind those two, and that's a bit of a let-off for Paris Saint-Germain because Papsard had done so well initially to win the ball off Nuno Mendes. As it is, Paris Saint-Germain counter-attack down the other end. Kvaratskhelia gives it to Vitinha, right-hand side of the pitch as Paris Saint-Germain go forward. Under pressure from Richarlison, he retreats and gives it back to Marquinhos. They'll try their luck on the near touchline. Paris Saint-Germain's left. This is João Neves to Fabian Ruiz, the Spanish international. Back to João Neves once again. This is all a good 15, almost 20 yards outside the penalty area. The Paris Saint-Germain attack. We're into the 30th minute of the game. A couple of shots flashed wide from Paris Saint-Germain is as dangerous as things have got. Here is Vitinha onto Kvaratskhelia up against Jed Spence. Kvaratskhelia steps into the penalty area. The Georgian who's full of tricks, and Jed Spence is wise not to jump in too early here. Eventually crosses delivered. Pedro Porro wins the header, and it's an accurate one out to Richarlison, and he'll try and relieve pressure here. Good strong running from Richarlison as he finds support from Pedro Porro, and now it's launched long and searching and looking for Kolo Muani, but he's easily dealt with in the air by William Pacho.
What has been impressive from a Tottenham point of view is the compactness of the whole side. You know, the 10 outfield players, you can see the shape. Listen, we talk all the time, don't we, about the formations. We thought Thomas Frank had fooled us before the game again. Well, he had fooled us playing the 5 at the back, which we thought, dress it up how you like. Tottenham tonight are playing a 4-4-2. Richarlison and Muani up front, the midfield 4, and they will sit as a tight unit, and they're moving up and down the pitch. Between Kolo Muani and the defensive line, there is never more than, 25 yards, and they're trying to stay compact up and down the pitch as a unit, and they've done it impressively so far.
We told you that Olympiacos took an early lead against Real Madrid. I'll tell you what, they have poked the bear because Mbappe has now completed a hat-trick. So 3 goals in 29 minutes for Kylian Mbappe. And Vinicius Junior's just put in another one. So it's now Olympiacos 1, Real Madrid 4. What an opening half an hour they've had in that game.
Never score too early, they say. Or is it you can't score too early? But sometimes
you can.
Often found that, when you go 1-0 up against the so-called bigger teams, if you're an inferior team, and your teammates all celebrating, the crowd are going wild, and I'm stood in goal thinking, there's another 85 minutes yet, lads, hang on.
Yeah, don't get too excited too early. A couple of half-times coming in from the earlier kick-offs in the Championship. Wrexham are leading Bristol City by a goal to nil. Still scoreless between Millwall and Sheffield Wednesday. And Sheffield United have reached half-time in front against Portsmouth by a goal to nil at Bramall Lane. Sporting have got a second goal in quick succession in the Champions League. They lead Club Brugge by 2 goals to nil now. At Bayern Munich, an equaliser. Lennart Karl, the youngster, has got one back after Jurrien Timber had given Arsenal the lead. It is Arsenal 1, Bayern Munich 1. You can listen to that game on our sister station 5 Live, and we're just seeing that Vinicius Junior's 4th goal for Real Madrid has now been disallowed by the VAR, so it's just, inverted commas, just 3-1 there with half an hour played. In Paris, Paris Saint-Germain 0, Tottenham 0. Spurs doing well, as Paul mentioned earlier, doing better than they did in the North London derby on Sunday. Still a long way to go. William Pacho gives it to Vitinha just on the edge of his own penalty area, plays it up to the halfway line to Injantu, and that's a nice ball in front of Kvaratskhelia. When I say nice, good idea, slightly overstruck, and it goes out for a throw into Spurs' left full-back position for them.
If you get picked off by the better team or beaten by a team obviously that outplays you, you can understand, but the way that Tottenham had a lack of fight and a lack of desire seemingly at the weekend, I think that was the most alarming thing. In the first half today, you can obviously see a change in shape, but more importantly, a change in attitude. Pressing much higher up the field. They've shown so much more attacking intent against a similarly, if not a better side away from home than they did in the North London derby.
And Liverpool are still 1-1 at home against PSV Eindhoven. Liverpool went behind earlier on at Anfield tonight before Szoboszlai's equaliser. This is Archie Gray in possession for Spurs, gives it up to Richarlison. Nice turn initially, but then he runs into Vitinha, and then Richarlison, I think, a bit frustrated that he lost the ball there, went cannoning in on Nuno Mendes, and the German referee is over again, and he's certainly putting himself about tonight, Richarlison. That was late again.
He's lucky he's not had a card yet, Richarlison. He was late early on. João Neves left one in on him, just left his calling card there on Pacho. But you don't mind that from a Tottenham point of view. He's working very, very hard. The thing for me with Richarlison, I like what you get from him. The attitude, the application, the effort. minimum requirement is maximum effort, and that's what you always get from Richarlison. But the quality for me with Richarlison hasn't been there this season. The goals certainly haven't been there. You look at his goal count, he's only got 5 in all competitions, and when you're missing a player like Solanke, you need somebody who's going to fill that void, and Richarlison hasn't been that man. But the attitude...
Hang on, Bentancur's to one of the midfield here. Kolomoani tries to push it in front of Jed Spence, and that's a very important recovery by Marquinhos, because Bentancur had done really well to set that counter-attack going, and Marquinhos found himself the last line of defence. He did really well to slide in ahead of Jed Spence.
There's Jed Spence again breaking down on that far side, on the left-hand side for Tottenham, breaking well out of a defensive shape, but Marquinhos, with his age and his experience, positional sense, gets himself out of danger.
Here's Papsar, midway inside Paris Saint-Germain territory, pushes it back to the halfway line to Christian Romero, forward again to Bentancur, and then back to Mickey van de Ven. Van de Ven, who's been Spurs' top scorer in all competitions this season. Tottenham have worked it to Bergvall down the left-hand side. Oh, nice little trick from Bergvall to pick out Archie Gray. Here's the cross in. Kolomoani back across the face of goal, and Richarlison is in at 10 minutes to go to half-time. Tottenham Hotspur take the lead away at the reigning Champions League champions. It's Paris Saint-Germain 0, Tottenham 1. Richarlison's header, but a really brilliantly worked goal. Bergvall did so well, Archie Gray did well, Kolomoani back across the face, and Richarlison showing that hunger to give Spurs the lead in Paris.
What was I saying? That man who doesn't score enough goals, there he is, pops up just at the right time. Down the left-hand side again for Tottenham. It's been a good route for them towards goal. Bergvall down the left-hand side, a really good interchange with Archie Gray. Archie Gray, clever, intelligently stands the ball up to the far post with his left foot. Kolomoani completely unmarked. Very, very good centre-forward play from Kolomoani. He's past the far post on the angle. He doesn't head for goal. He simply loops it up and back across the 6-yard box. And there's Richarlison, 2 yards from goal. Free header, simple task. Puts Tottenham Hotspur 1-0 up in Paris.
It is a first Champions League goal of the season for Richarlison. If you stretch back to his previous campaign at this level, it's his first goal in 10 Champions League games. Spurs, who've had a good attitude from the get-go tonight, and now they have been rewarded on the scoreboard. And Paris Saint-Germain, who have only got Dembele on the bench. They've no Desiree Doué this evening. They've no Achraf Hakimi. And suddenly, for all their possession, the Champions League holders find themselves behind. Here's the 18-year-old. Njantu goes down. Says he was pushed by Jed Spence. Looked like he might have been trying to fool the officials there. If he was, that was a silly place to do it, right in front of the assistant referee. Getting to see a replay of it, I don't think there's much of a touch on young Njantu, and he doesn't get the free kick for that.
No, Jed Spence again, good piece of defending right in front of the assistant on the far side, and keeps his flag down, shakes his head.
So Richarlison's goal has Spurs in front in Paris, and suddenly they've got a bit of wind in their sails. Porro slips at an unfortunate moment. Just as he tried to turn direction, he was able to get back up on his feet and nudge the ball away from Vitinha, but he wasn't able to keep advancing the way he had been doing. In the Championship, it's half-time at Ewood Park. It's Blackburn Rovers 0, Queen's Park Rangers 0. Arsenal still 1-1 against Bayern Munich. Liverpool still 1-1 against PSV. Spurs, the one English team leading in the Champions League at the moment, as Paris Saint-Germain get a free kick just inside their own half.
I bet you never thought you'd say that after 37 minutes tonight, did you?
Absolutely not.
After the performance at the weekend. I mean, if you're going to set up defensively, which they have in a way tonight, but actually they've got an attacking threat. They've sat deep, they've soaked up pressure. And the left-hand side with Archie Gray, with Bergvall, with Jed Spence on the overlap, it's been a route of success for them this evening, and it was a really cleverly well-worked goal. Archie Gray stood the ball up superbly to the far post. Kolomoani, you think he's going to head it towards goal, just diverts it across the goal, and there's Richarlison, opportunist finish for him.
Paris Saint-Germain, who've still just kept one clean sheet in the Champions League so far this campaign. Here's Barcola, who's gone over to the right-hand side. Looks like Kvaratskhelia is going to play as the central striker for the moment, and the kid Njantu, who had been through the middle, has now moved to the left wing. But Luis Enrique will presumably continue to be fluid in the lineup of those three as the evening progresses. Paris Saint-Germain 0, Tottenham Hotspur 1 at Parc des Princes. Big outing this for Thomas Frank, particularly in the context of the pressure he's been feeling after the North London derby. Quentin Njantu, crossing position on the left-hand side, hangs one in. Jed Spence found himself the last defender at the back post. His header comes back across the face of goal, and Bentancur does well, doesn't panic, takes a few touches and wallops the ball out of play on the far side. Throw into Paris Saint-Germain.
does make you wonder, doesn't it? Just a change in personnel and a slight shift in formation. The contrast in performance from the weekend. If they set up like this and play the way they did at the weekend, I've not really seen the Tottenham team play as poorly as they did and offer as little as they did. Granted, you're not going to have the lion's share of the possession against Arsenal, against Paris Saint-Germain, but set up in a way where you can hurt the opposition, which is what they've done tonight when they've had the opportunity to.
The clock ticks on, just over 6 minutes to go of normal time ahead of the break. And Richarlison, who had only ever scored 2 Champions League goals in his career before tonight. This is a guy with over 50 caps for Brazil, remember. It's a very important moment for him, heading in from short range after Randall Colomboani had set him up. Vitinha down the other end now for Paris Saint-Germain in the dark colours against Spurs in yellow. Jantu dancing over the ball just outside the penalty area. Porro ignores all the dancing, keeps his eye on the ball. He'll do well to prevent this from going for a corner. Good work for Pedro Porro as he clears it away down the right hand side, and Richarlison tries to keep it in play, but Vitinha refuses to be outfoxed, and Paris Saint-Germain come again. Kvaratskhelia taking on Pedro Porro into the penalty area. Bentancur was there to help out. Good defending from Spurs as Paris Saint-Germain get a corner. How they'd love an equaliser ahead of the break.
That's where he's at his best. Kvaratskhelia down the left hand side, cutting in on his right foot. Said about the interchange of the front three, him and Barcola. Can't really decide who's playing as the 9. Kvaratskhelia out on the left, for me, is far more effective.
5 minutes to go to the break. Spurs 1-0 in front. Kvaratskhelia swings it in. Vicario off his goal line, acrobatically punches the ball away, and it trickles and rolls and goes out for a throw into Paris Saint-Germain down by the corner flag on the other side. That's the right-hand side as the French champions come forward. Paris Saint-Germain, who had chances when this game was still 0-0. Shots just off target. But really, in essence, the goalkeeper Vicario hasn't had a huge shot to save in the match so far. Did well to flick it away from Zaire Emery from close range, but that wasn't really a shot. As Fabian Ruiz here gives the ball to the dangerous Nuno Mendes, the left-back who scores a lot of goals from that position. He'll pass it up to Kvaratskhelia, level at the edge of the penalty area that Paris Saint-Germain attack. A little 1-2 here, doesn't come off with Fabian Ruiz. And Papsar sees the ball out of play. And just as it went out of play, he kind of kicked it off the advertising hoardings, and Paris Saint-Germain accusing him of wasting time there. The referee says no case to answer. Nuno Mendes for Paris Saint-Germain, 4 minutes remaining in the first half. Richarlison's goal, a big moment, not just in this game tonight, but maybe in Tottenham's season as a whole. Kvaratskhelia crosses from the left, straight to the forehead of Christian Romero, up and away. Richarlison back helping out the defence, goes down on the edge of the area, and the referee says that was a foul by Fabian Ruiz. Clever from Richarlison, free kick that takes some pressure off his teammates.
Yeah, the noticeable difference with Tottenham tonight is the athleticism that they've got in the midfield. The changes he's made with Papsar coming in, Bergvall coming in, and Archie Gray coming in. The willingness of all those three to work both forwards and backwards up and down the pitch. The engine room that they've got, not necessarily have had that, especially at the weekend. The three of them are willing to drop in between the back four, fill the holes, but at the same time on the turnover possession, as we saw for the goal, all three are willing to get forward and support the attacking players.
So half-time almost upon us. This has been really good for Spurs so far. Remember, Tottenham went 2-0 up when these sides last met, the Super Cup final in August, and Paris Saint-Germain were able to come back, so it's not over yet. There is much water to flow down the Seine before we reach the conclusion of this game, but Thomas Frank has got to be very pleased with the attitude, the mentality of his team, and how Richarlison was able to take that opportunity when it did come his side's way. Arsenal 1-1 against Bayern Munich, about to be half-time in North London. Liverpool 1-1 on Merseyside at home against PSV Eindhoven, having come from behind. A dispute between Papsar and Fabian Ruiz, but just a little tug of the shirt for the Tottenham man on his opponent. Nothing for the officials to be too overworked about. A couple of minutes to go of normal time ahead of the break as Vitinha in a left-back position tries to chip the ball away, but he's given it straight to Bentancur. Paris Saint-Germain, there's no doubt about it, they haven't been at their usual free-flowing best in this first half, and you've got to credit Tottenham for not allowing a team as accomplished as Paris Saint-Germain to be able to do so. Very different times, of course, with this club. The days of having Neymar and Messi and all that kind of stuff, it's different. Now they bring in young kids, the likes of Quentin Jantu, who has done so well in recent weeks. But in terms of superstars on the bench, they do still have Ousmane Dembele, albeit he's not played in a few weeks. But they've got Meunu, And they've got Lee, they've got Cancelo Ramos. There are goals on the bench for Paris Saint-Germain. Spurs might need more than this one goal that they've got already if they're to take the win back to North London this evening. Paris Saint-Germain 0, Tottenham 1 for now on Sports Extra. The goal by Richarlison.
Certainly a different team talk at half-time that Thomas Frank's going to have to give. He'll be absolutely delighted with what he's seen from his players, what they've given him in this first half. A game plan that you can see that's clearly worked. And the impressive thing is they've stuck together as a unit. They've moved up and down the pitch. They've been hard to break down. They've limited Paris Saint-Germain to efforts thus far in the game to outside the box. They've had no real opportunities that Vicario's had to make saves. Tottenham might arguably have had one or two of the better opportunities and certainly took them.
You have to say, Paul, I'm looking forward to the second half of this. I think this is going to be intriguing. We know Paris Saint-Germain will come back strong, but Tottenham have been very determined so far. This is Kvaratskhelia. Important for Thomas Frank's team not to concede here ahead of the break. We'll find out very shortly what's going to be added for stoppages at the end of this first half. Fabian Ruiz on the right-hand side gives it infield to Vitinha. Long way out, steadies himself to shoot, does shoot, strikes off the back of a defender, and that ricochets for a corner. Corner to Paris Saint-Germain as we prepare to move into stoppages at the end of the first half, and Kvaratskhelia takes it quickly to Njantu. Left-hand side as PSG come forward. Oh, that's a really clever ball to Vitinha. Hits it to the top corner. What a goal from Paris Saint-Germain. That's why they are the European champions. Vitinha hits his second in this competition, this campaign, and there's simply no stopping a shot like that. A short corner kick routine. Njantu played a very clever ball into a central area, but Vitinha took centre stage. What a shot! Paris Saint-Germain 1, Tottenham 1.
Oh wow, that is an unbelievable finish. You will not see a better finish than that. Certainly this evening, maybe not this week, maybe not this month. It was a brilliant finish from Vitinha. Talk about postage stamp. Quick, well-worked corner. And Njantu, a clever ball across the edge of the 18-yard box. The referee has to get out the way quickly before the ball gets to Vitinha. Hits it with the outside of his right boot on the laces, and it curls up and away from Vicario, right into the top left-hand corner of the Tottenham Hotspur goalkeeper's goal. Nothing he can do about that. What a wonderful finish.
Blistering strike from Vitinha. That just oozed quality. Remember, he had a shot just before that was deflected out for the corner. That had sort of, given him a sighter, given him a chance to test his range. But if he took that shot on 100 times, he wouldn't have wanted it to be hit any sweeter than that. Absolutely beautiful goal from Vitinha, and that will crush Tottenham's spirit a little bit. They were so close to going in with the lead at half-time in Parc des Princes, and now Bergval's got to get the first yellow card of the evening for a trip on the edge of the Paris Saint-Germain penalty area. Bergval appeals his innocence to Felix Wehr, the German, who'd been very lenient with the Richarlison late challenges, but Bergval's gone in the book for that.
He was late there, Bergval, he really was, and João Neves goes in with his foot, leans over the top with his knee, catches João Neves knee to knee, a painful one. But that's a blow from Tottenham, it really is. I mean, we just speaking about limiting Paris to shots from outside the box and from distance. But when you get a strike of that quality from Vitinha, it's almost indefendable.
Paris Saint-Germain 1, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Pedro Porro rolls the ball back to Vicario, wearing bright orange, away to our left-hand side. The goals for Richarlison put Spurs in front in the 35th minute, and it was bang on 45, just as we went into stoppages, that Vitinha rifled home the equaliser for 1-1. Shades of the Super Cup final when Paris Saint-Germain came from behind against Spurs. Can they do it again? Vitinha tries to play a 1-2 on the edge of the box. Paris Saint-Germain, I think, thought that his shirt was being pulled, and regardless, there's no time for a free kick. It's going to be half-time as Felix Wehr blows his whistle. An entertaining, free-flowing 45 minutes in Paris. Tottenham have worked really hard. They were rewarded with Richarlison's goal, his 6th of the season in all competitions, a close-range header, but Spurs were not able to hold the lead to the break thanks to the brilliance of Vitinha, and it's 1-1 for now.
Tell you what, we've got a game. We've got a real game on our hands. Two teams here looking to win the game. Impressive performance from Tottenham. We made a lot before the game about the weekend's performance and how they would approach tonight. Manager surprised us with his formation. The biggest transformation from the weekend was the attitude of the players, how high they were pressing, looking to win the ball back. They carried an attacking threat, and they deservedly got their goal on the counter-attack. PSG are always going to come back into it, always going to come strong, and as I say, very finely poised for the second half.
OK, well, come back to us for the second half. Over the break, we're going to hear how the other clubs are getting on with Mark Chapman back in the studio. From us, it is Paris Saint-Germain 1, Tottenham Hotspur 1 for now.
It's campaigners who love to win, love to compete, love to dominate their area of the field, and it's got that feel to it. It's a top-level game.
OK, Matt, John, for the moment, thank you very much. Let's go to Anfield next. Liverpool against PSV. Lee Blakeman.
Liverpool 1, PSV Eindhoven 1. A nightmare start for Liverpool, but they ended the half by far the better of the two teams. They conceded a penalty after just 5 minutes. Handball given against Virgil van Dijk. His arm was raised as a corner came in. I mean, it was almost a catch, to be honest with you. It was so clear.
It was like he was in a line-out.
It was.
Wasn't it?
It was. It was either rugby or it was basketball. I'm not quite sure what was going through his head, but he had the audacity to appeal it. Appeals fell on deaf ears. Perisic stepped up, scored it. Really well taken penalty. Liverpool level within 10 minutes. Gakpo with a shot well saved. Szoboszlai drilled in the rebound. Tidy finish. PSV since then have had one chalked off for offside, but Liverpool have seen Van Dijk hit the bar. Ekitike has been denied by the keeper twice, and Salah has cleared the bar from the edge of the area a couple of times as well. Poor start, but Arne Slot's team on top since then. Liverpool 1, PSV Eindhoven 1.
All three games involving the English teams this evening level at 1-1. Alistair Bruce Ball.
Yes, and I guess you describe this one as a little bit of a turn-up for the books. Obviously, Sunday's capitulation in the derby demanded a response. It certainly got one from Spurs and Thomas Frank tonight. 1-1 at half-time in Paris. Little bit of a surprise in the system as well. We thought it might be the three centre-backs again. Archie Gray's playing in midfield for Tottenham, sort of 4-4-1-1 or a 4-4-2 with Kolo Muani and Richarlison up front. They've not seen a massive amount of the ball. I think they probably expected that. What that means is when you've got it, particularly in the final third, you've got to do something special with it. And check the Spurs goal out, the opening goal in the game, on the BBC highlights tonight. Absolutely fantastic. Lucas Bergvall away down the left-hand side. Little back heel flick. Archie Gray ran in behind him, floated a delicious cross into the far post. Kolo Muani had read that, leapt high, headed back across goal over the goalkeeper, and Richarlison was onto that and headed it in from close range. PSG did deserve their equaliser. They've had a lot of pressure. It eventually came from a Vitinha strike, and another great goal as well, Mark. When the ball, for a right-footed player, the ball is coming across you from the left, to hit that first time, quite often you can sort of shank that, slice that, but he got a lovely bit of a sort of away swing swerve on it into the top corner of the goal. Vicario couldn't do anything about it. PSG 1, Spurs 1.
You took it from personal experience there.
I knew you were going to ask. Well, in terms of the shank, yes. Not in terms of striking that purely, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Ali, thank you. Statman Dave with us this evening as well. What stood out for you in Arsenal Bayern? I think what Matt was saying about the ability of both teams to switch it up from possession to going direct.
Yeah, no, very, very good. Joshua Kimmich completely controlling the game in midfield in terms of pass numbers, but also moving the ball on. Just in terms of some stats, Mark, Jurrien Timber has scored or assisted 5 goals for Arsenal this season, one fewer than he managed in the entirety of last campaign in terms of goal involvements. But Lennon Carl is the absolute star of that first half. Scored or assisted a goal every 83 minutes for Bayern this season. Only Lamine Yamal has scored more goals in the Champions League in history as a 17-year-old now, with his 2 goals in the campaign this season. So those are the 2 things that kind of really stood out in that first half, Mark.
Oh, and in either of the other ones? Spurs, Paris Saint-Germain in particular?
So just looking at the Vitinha goal was sensational. If you've not seen that, obviously Ali spoke about that previously. He's again dominating midfield in terms of passes and controlling the tempo as you'd expect. And the Liverpool game obviously quite stop-started, but Liverpool once again dominating. Arne Slot has not given PSV the possession with 66% of the ball in the first half, and of course Dominic Szoboszlai, the standout player for Liverpool.
Let's go around the other games then in the Champions League. We'll focus on the 8 o'clocks. Earlier wins, or a win for Copenhagen. They beat Karat by 3-2. Pafos and Monaco ended 2 apiece. John Bennett across the others.
And Real Madrid was stunned early on in their game. They conceded against Olympiacos, but then a Kylian Mbappe masterclass. It's Olympiacos 1, Real Madrid 3 at half-time. 3 goals in 7 minutes from Mbappe. A one-on-one chance set up by Vinicius Jr. A header from a Goulet cross. Then he finished after a wonderful Camavinga ball over the top. So Real Madrid in a great position there. Meanwhile, Inter's 100% record under threat. It's Atletico Madrid 1, Inter 0. Julian Alvarez with the goal. It was initially ruled out due to a handball, but then it was given. Sporting 2, Club Brugge 0. An interesting goal scorer there, Giovanni Quenda, 18 years old, on his way to Chelsea next year. And Eintracht Frankfurt 0, Atalanta 0. Ademola Lookman has hit the post for Atalanta, but so far it's goalless.
OK, thank you very much. There are 5 games in the Championship this evening. 4 of them kicked off at 7:45. So they're into the second half in these games. Goalless between Millwall and bottom of the table Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield United lead Portsmouth by 1-0. If it stays that way, Sheffield United will be out of the bottom 3 this evening. Oxford would drop in. Blackburn and QPR are goalless. Wrexham lead Bristol City by 1-0. There's an 8 o'clock kickoff at the Hawthorns, and West Brom lead Birmingham by 1-0. Quite an early goal in that game. Alex Mowat with it after 12 minutes. We will be back for the second half at the Emirates. Arsenal 1, Bayern 1 at the break. But at 4 minutes to 9 o'clock, here's the latest BBC News.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
With the BBC News on 5 Live, I'm Alison Hughes. The Chancellor Rachel Reeves has announced tax rises worth £26 billion in her budget. She said national insurance and income tax thresholds will remain frozen for 3 years beyond 2028. Nimesh Shah is a personal tax expert and boss of the tax advisory firm Blick Rothenberg. He told 5 Live it would have a huge effect.
The Office of Budget Responsibility, who set out what these policies are going to raise in terms of revenue and what the government then spends, they say that around 900,000 extra people are going to be paying high rate tax come 2031. That's a huge number of people that are getting dragged into 40% income tax because all these thresholds and allowances are just staying static whilst actually inflation is going up, wages are going up as well.
Other measures include a rise in both levels of the minimum wage and an increase in basic and new state pensions of 4.8%. Also from April, the 2-child benefits cap will be scrapped. The Conservative MP, Helen Whately, is the Shadow Secretary of State for Work and Pensions. She told 5 Live the Chancellor had made the wrong choices.
If you're a family who's earning their own living, paying their own way, you're making difficult choices of whether you can afford to have children or not. You make those difficult choices. But now, actually, your finances are going to be made even harder. You're going to struggle even more because your taxes are going up. And your taxes are going to go up to give extra money to people on benefits, to be able to have more children. I mean, that's fundamentally unfair.
Regulated rail fares for journeys in England will be frozen next year for the first time since 1996. The 5p cut in fuel duty will be extended until September before it rises again over a 6-month period. A new mileage-based charge on electric vehicles will come in from 2028. And at the same time, what's been described as a mansion tax will be brought in on properties worth more than £2 million. In other news, 2 National Guardsmen have been shot in Washington, D.C., not far from the White House. Donald Trump, who's in Florida, says they've been critically injured. Our State Department correspondent Tom Bateman is there.
What I was told was there were National Guardsmen standing guard outside this metro station. The witness I spoke to heard the gunshots from his car, moved forward, then had to get in pretty quickly to the side of the street here. And I've then seen some images of the aftermath of that with 2 National Guardsmen who were down, being treated by medics at that point. A third person was also being treated, not in uniform. Not clear if that was a civilian or if it was the gunman.
Officials say a suspect has been taken into custody. A man has pleaded guilty to driving a car into a crowd of football fans at the Liverpool Victory Parade in May. Paul Doyle, who's from the Croxteth area of the city, admitted charges including dangerous driving and causing grievous bodily harm with intent. More than 130 people were wounded. DCI John Fitzgerald is from Merseyside Police.
What should have been a day of celebration for the city turned into a distressing and frightening experience, which we know continues to have physical and psychological impact on many people. It is only by sheer luck that nobody was killed because of Doyle's deliberate actions. We hope that the knowledge that Doyle is now facing the prospect of a considerable prison sentence will be able to help those affected and move on with their lives.
And the Hong Kong chief executive says 36 people, including a firefighter, have died and nearly 300 are missing after a fire broke out at a high-rise residential development. More than 800 firefighters are at the scene in the northern Tai Po district. 3 people have been arrested.
My name's Steve Bracknell, assistant manager at Royal Oak FC. You may have seen me online going viral. Viral sensation. And now, the BBC have given me the chance to set the footballing world back to rights.
This could be a great opportunity for us, lads, a podcast for the BBC.
Can I just say, what's a podcast?
Brilliant. Great start. Well done, Bob. Brilliant. We can completely show utter transparency to Royal Oak fans. I'll use my charm. Gift it, Gab. Game's gone. The Steve Bracknell podcast. Watch on YouTube. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sports, the Champions League with Mark Chapman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
All English clubs involved in the Champions League tonight level at 1-1. Liverpool at home to PSV, Arsenal at home to Bayern, and Spurs away to Paris Saint-Germain. The second halves are on the way. Switching to rugby union, the World Cup winner Abby Dow has retired from the sport at the age of 28. The England wing is now planning on returning to a career in mechanical engineering.
I'm not too indecisive as a human. I like to think things through logically and make that decision myself. I 100% could go to another World Cup. I could go to a Lions tour. I do appreciate their big things that could have been on the radar. I play rugby not for the big events. Well, I obviously do, but I don't base my life around them either. I'm really happy. I couldn't have been more proud of the lot that I've given. And I personally felt like I pushed my career to this World Cup because in my head, I was only ever going to do one. And I'm just ready to go back to that other side of my life. Although rugby is an absolutely incredible thing and you shouldn't turn it down easily, but you should also understand that it is a sacrifice. The way that you play, how much it gives and how much it takes from you as a human being. Like I've come out with 4 different breaks in my body. That's not great. And that's not even including my nose. Like it does take out of you physically. It was important for me that I was playing it for the right reasons. And I didn't want to play just because there was another accolade to achieve.
Abby Dow, who has retired from rugby union at the age of 28. Elsewhere in the sport, Tom Curry is available for sale this Friday against Exeter, despite ongoing concerns of disciplinary action following a reported tunnel bust-up after the match against Argentina for England at the weekend. Meanwhile, Sale have agreed to sign the Stade Francais centre Joe Marchant from next season, opening the door for a potential England return for him. Let's just go into the Championship. Wrexham, Bristol City this evening. Nathan Alban.
Wrexham 1, Bristol City 0, Mark. The home side in front early through the Wales international Nathan Broadhead, a cracker of a curler from distance. Bristol City, though, have reacted well since the break. Anis Mehmeti has stung the palms of Arthur Okonkwo from range. Our God, it's Wrexham 1, Bristol City 0.
Sheffield United have got a second at home to Portsmouth. Sheffield United 2, Portsmouth 0 at Bramall Lane. Still goalless between Millwall and Sheffield Wednesday and Blackburn and QPR. Wrexham, as you've just heard from Nathan, still lead Bristol City by a goal to 0, and West Brom are 1-up on Birmingham as they wait for the second half to get underway. The Hawthorns teams coming back out at the Emirates, 1-1 here. Let's rejoin Matt and John.
Yeah, Bayern Munich team are already out there. The Arsenal players just emerging now, sprinting out of the tunnel, red shirts, white.
Both re-emerging out onto the field. Looks like PSG are going to make a substitution over half-time. The scoreline 1-1 after Richarlison had given Tottenham Hotspur the lead. Vitinha just on the cusp of the break. Quite spectacular shot from outside the penalty area has levelled things up to 1-1. But Lucas Hernandez, the experienced French defender, is going through a big routine to suggest that he's about to come on as the Tottenham players re-emerge from the tunnel, and it doesn't look like Thomas Frank is going to make any changes himself over the break. Having had a few minutes to ponder the whole thing, Paul Robinson, how do you feel about Spurs' performance so far?
I think Thomas Frank will be absolutely delighted with the team talk that he had to give in there at half-time. I think the message from Thomas Frank will be more of the same. Keep doing what we've planned, stick to the game plan, defend resolutely and attack on the counter-attack, which they've done, because I think the legs that they've got in midfield, in Archie Gray, in Bergvall, in Papsar, it's like an engine room. There's 3 midfielders there who are happy to do the hard yards, both defensively, but then when they've got the possession, they join in with the front 2 and cause an overload and cause problems. They'll press high from the front and they'll also sit in deep. They've got a good engine room in there this evening, Tottenham.
Vitinha hitting a great shot from distance. It's his 6th Champions League goal of his career, and 4 of them now have come from outside the box. The change for Paris Saint-Germain is at left back. Nuno Mendes, normally one of the most important players for the home side, has gone off, and Lucas Hernandez comes on in his place. So Chevalier, the goalkeeper, back 4, which was Zaire-Emery, Marquinhos, Pacho, and now Lucas Hernandez for the second half. 3 in midfield, João Neves, Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz, and 3 up top, Bradley Barcola, Quentin Injantu, and Kavica Kvaratskhelia. We're back underway in Paris. Paris Saint-Germain in navy play from left to right as we look down. Spurs in their change strip of yellow. Vicario is the Tottenham goalkeeper. Back 4 of Pedro Porro, Christian Romero, Mickey van der Ven, and Jed Spence. In midfield, it's Archie Gray, Rodrigo Bentancur, Pap Sarr, Lucas Bergval, and then Randall Kolomoani and Richarlison, the 2 who combined for the Spurs goal, leading the attack for the visitors. 1-1 for now.
You can only think that that's an injury to Nuno Mendes. I mean, the fullbacks are such an important part of Luis Enrique's team. Mendes with 4 goals to his name already this season. Hernandez does struggle to get a game when Mendes is fit. As I say, it's a like-for-like substitution, left back for left back, but there must be a problem.
Marquinhos touches the ball to Zaire-Emery. His clearance up into the midfield is intended for Fabian Ruiz. Tottenham scurrying around trying to win possession back, but Paris Saint-Germain just about hold on to it. It's rolled to the goalkeeper Lucas Chevalier, and he gives it to Hernandez, involved for the first time since coming on as a sub, but his pocket has been picked by a hungry Pap Sarr. Good work from Tottenham. Cross into the penalty area from Kolomoani, looking for Richarlison. Marquinhos is there to defend, and then Fabian Ruiz just rolls it along the deck. Back to Chevalier, the goalkeeper, and Paris Saint-Germain will look to play their way out from the back again. Zaire-Emery claims he was being fouled by Jed Spence there. Ball goes out of play. They're all appealing for it, but it is going to be possession for Paris Saint-Germain. 1-1.
Again from Tottenham, high press, that time from Jed Spence, the fullback, almost level with the 18-yard area. Luis Enrique beneath us now on the touchline, taken out of the stand. Watch the first half from high up in the stand, down on the touchline now, try and get his messages on, and a lot clearer. He'll be disappointed with what his team offered him in the first half possession-wise. They were the better size in possession, but didn't really create that many chances until the goal. All were from distance.
Paris Saint-Germain, who before this evening had scored 14 goals in their 4 Champions League games this campaign. They were the joint top scorers in the league phase coming into this week, along with Bayern Munich. Spurs have got a throw in left-hand side as they come forward here. Jed Spence takes it, gives it to Richarlison. 10 yards from the byline on the left-hand side. Backheel to Spence, who tries to cannon in across, and it absolutely flush catches Marquinhos in the face. The veteran defender, who was spreading his body trying to block the delivery, hands behind his back, as of course defenders have to do these days, and the cross from very close to him has cannoned right into his head, and the referee is obviously giving every care and attention to make sure that Marquinhos is okay as he gets back to his feet.
Oh, that's a blow. That's a real blow. The only way you can describe that is, well, you're not aware, you're not ready for it. It's one of them, you're not waiting for the ball to smack you in the face. Jed Spence hits it from distance, close distance with his left foot. Marquinhos on the side of his face, just near his temple and cheekbone. Took a real smack. He's done well to get off the canvas for that one.
Yeah, on his 500th appearance for the club tonight, Marquinhos is back in position. Didn't need any treatment. Corner's going to be taken by Pedro Porro on the left-hand side as Spurs come forward. Paris Saint-Germain 1, Tottenham Hotspur 1. 3 minutes played in the second half at Parc des Princes. Full house in Paris tonight in the Champions League to watch the Champions League holders, who've already had to come from behind to cancel out Richarlison's opening goal. Here comes the corner, right-footed from Pedro Porro, in swinging, met at the front post by Pacho, and it's gone out for another corner to Spurs again on that left-hand side.
It's a vicious delivery by Pedro Porro, it really is. Hard and low, whipped in at head height with his right foot, in swinging to the near post. Chevalier, the PSG goalkeeper, they don't experience this much in the French league. He's struggled with the corners, in swinging on top of his goal.
How Spurs would love a strong start to this second period. Take 2 at the corner from Pedro Porro. This one's much higher towards the back post. Richarlison tries to get it away. Archie Gray flicks it over the goalkeeper, and it's into the back of the net. And Randall Kolomoani scores against his parent club. He makes every effort not to celebrate on his return to Parc des Princes, but when it came back off the crossbar, he reacted perfectly. He's rifled it in from about 10 yards out, and within 5 minutes of the start of the second half, Tottenham Hotspur have got themselves back in front again. Paris Saint-Germain 1, Tottenham 2. Randall Kolo Muani has scored his first goal for Spurs.
It's a superbly worked corner kick for Tottenham. It's a set play. It's Pedro Porro again. This time it's not the near post in swinger, it's the deep one to the far post. Richarlison's obviously aware that it's coming his way, peels off at the far post, heads it back across the 6-yard box. The goalkeeper comes out flying, Superman punching. Archie Gray gets there first, lifts it over the top of the goalkeeper. PSG clear it off the line, but only as far as Kolo Muani, who smashes it into the back of the PSG net. Big smile on his face, desperately trying not to celebrate. Spurs have done it again.
He's not scored in the Champions League for over 2 years, Randall Kolo Muani. What a moment to score his first in Tottenham Hotspur colours, and against his parent team as well. He didn't flinch in terms of celebration. He was mobbed by his teammates, but he was making every effort to not goad in front of the supporters who used to cheer him on, and he perhaps hopes will do again in the future. They've already come from 1-0 down tonight. Paris Saint-Germain find themselves behind again. Zaire Emery on the right-hand side. Spurs, will they have learned anything for the first time? Can they hold on to this lead now? Pacho swings it out to the left-hand side towards Kvaratskhelia, but it's rushed, and Spurs will hope they've got Paris Saint-Germain a little bit rattled here at 2-1.
Archie Gray played a huge part in that goal. The delivery was excellent again from Pedro Porro, really deep to the back of the 6-yard box, over the far post. It was Richarlison who was charged with pulling away from his man, which he did superbly well. He just heads it back towards the goalkeeper across the 6-yard box. Goalkeeper comes out with the old two fists, and Archie Gray just gets there before him, causes him all kinds of problems, lifts it over the goalkeeper. Kolo Muani just thunders it into the back of the net.
Absolutely thunders it in. Marquinhos, who'd taken a blow to the face in the build-up to all of that, and he was the one who tried to head it off the goal. I mean, he could have given himself another injury trying to get his head in the way of that one from close range. But Paris Saint-Germain, who've only had one shot on target in the game, that was the Vitinha goal, find themselves behind again. Mickey van de Ven for Spurs, just outside his own penalty area, turns under pressure and rolls it back to Guglielmo Vicario. This is Bentancur occupying a left-back position, helped out by Pap Sarr. This Jet Spencer was actually. This has got to do their confidence the world of good now, Spurs. 2-1 up away at the Champions League holders. Ball into the penalty area. Barcola tries to flick it on, but he flicks it too high, and with his head he sends it over the crossbar. It's a goal kick to Spurs, who are still 2-1 in front.
That's a chance for PSG. It's a lovely ball into the box, flighted over the back of the Tottenham back four by Zaire Emery into the path of Barcola. I don't think he realises how much time and space he's got. Tries to direct the header towards Vicario's goal. It goes up and harmlessly over the bar, but that's another chance for PSG.
In the Championship tonight, Millwall have taken the lead at home against Sheffield Wednesday. Liverpool are behind again. Gus Dill has scored for PSV Eindhoven, who led early in the first half. Dominic Szoboszlai got an equaliser at Anfield, but Liverpool are 2-1 down again. Here's Kvaratskhelia into the penalty area, lays it off to Vitinha, who's already on the score sheet tonight. Left-footed shot is brilliant again. What a player Vitinha is, and boy, do Paris Saint-Germain need him tonight. For the second time this evening, Spurs' lead is cancelled out, and it's that man Vitinha again. The first one with his right foot, the second with his left foot. Brilliant from Vitinha. 2-2 in Paris on Sports Extra.
Just wonderful. Really is a wonderful finish, and an individual finish. Kvaratskhelia finds him on the edge of the box, and you think there's a crowd of yellow jerseys in front of him. 4 yellow jerseys looking at it on the replay. Jed Spence goes near, hits it with his left foot, curves it through the crowd into Vicario's bottom right-hand corner. Wonderful, wonderful goal.
The video assistant referee had a look to see if there might have been an offside in the build-up to the goal, but that check is over, and the goal is going to stand. So, when these sides met in August in the Super Cup, Spurs went 2-0 up. Paris Saint-Germain got it back to 2-2 and won on penalties. Tonight, Spurs have been 1-0 up. PSG have got it back to 1-1. Then Spurs have been 2-1 up. And once again, Vitinha draws things all level once again. I mean, moments of brilliance from Vitinha, papering over a few cracks for the French champions tonight. But now they will want to take the lead for the first time themselves. Injatu, low ball flashes in. Vicario tries to push it away. Barcola is able to shield the defender Jet Spence, so the ball falls to Warren Zaire-Emery. João Neves now just outside the penalty area. Strong from Mickey van de Ven for Spurs. His team needed that. He's fouled by Kvaratskhelia, and that's a free kick to Tottenham on the edge of their own penalty area. Spurs wearing all yellow tonight, and it is Paris Saint-Germain 2, Tottenham 2.
I've been treated to some wonderful goals, haven't they, this evening? None better than the two from Vitinha. Still only 25, Vitinha, looking at him now. Wolves fans, when they had him in 2021, imagine the player that he's gone on to be. Two wonderful goals tonight, one with his right foot, one with his left foot. Brilliantly executed, great finishes. Sign of a good player, creates time and space for himself when there doesn't seem to be any. And that's exactly what happened for Vitinha there with his second finish. Kvaratskhelia finds him with a ball just inside the box. He twists, he turns. 5 Tottenham players around him in yellow jerseys. Still he finds time and space for the shot.
He didn't score many in Wolves colours, did he, Vitinha? I remember being at an FA Cup game at Chorley, of all places, when Vitinha scored an absolute stunning goal for Wolves. I was doing the commentary that night, and he's hit one even better the first goal tonight. One with his right foot, one with his left foot here. Vitinha showing why he is so highly valued, and there's still a long way to go here. We've only played 10 minutes in the second half at Parc des Princes. Elsewhere tonight in the Champions League, Arsenal is still 1-1 at home against Bayern Munich. Arsenal had led in that game in the first half. It's 1-1 between Atletico and Inter Milan. Still 0-0 between Frankfurt and Atalanta. Liverpool trailing at Anfield. Liverpool 1, PSV Eindhoven 2. Real Madrid, who were 1-0 down, then 3-1 up on Olympiacos. It's back to 3-2 in that one. Olympiacos have scored another goal, and in Portugal, Sporting are ahead of Club Brugge by 2-0. And there's been a change for Paris Saint-Germain. Barcola has been replaced by Kang-in Lee. Lee, who scored against Spurs when these sides last met in the Super Cup final in August.
Yeah, the game's really finally poised now. Once again, Tottenham have surrendered the lead, but they've surrendered the lead to a quality finish. Yes, defensively they did sit off, but they had the bodies back, they had the bodies in position, they just didn't get close enough to Vitinha. 2 goals that Thomas Frank will look at and say, OK, quality finishes, but could we have affected it before it got to the goal scorer?
Lee, who's got a good track record of coming off the bench and creating things for Paris Saint-Germain. They've not been in front yet tonight. As Mickey van de Ven sprays one down the left-hand side, looking for Jet Spence, who's in a tussle with Lee, but he's done well, Spence, and he's in around the back of the Korean, into the penalty area, crosses low outside of the right boot. Bentancur's arriving, tries to keep it alive and lashes in a shot. Doesn't have the cultured touch of Vitinha, and that's well wide and high of the target from Bentancur. Good work from Jet Spence, though. 2-2 it remains.
It's a cracking game, it really has. 2 teams that are looking to go and win this game. Spurs set up nowhere near as defensively as we expected them to, pressing on the front foot. Bentancur putting his shift, getting back and forward. Bergval's been excellent operating on that left-hand side, and Jed Spence overlapping. Certainly been a really wonderful game.
Tonight is Vitinha's 171st game for Paris Saint-Germain. It is the first time he's ever scored 2 goals in the same game for the club. What a night to do it. Scores in the Championship as games reach the final quarter of an hour of the 7:45 kickoff. Still 0-0 at Ewood Park between Blackburn and Queen's Park Rangers. Millwall still in front against Sheffield Wednesday. It is Sheffield United 3, Portsmouth 0, Wrexham 2, Bristol City 0, and West Bromwich Albion leading Birmingham by a goal to 0 at the Hawthorns. 58 minutes on the clock at Parc des Princes. And João Neves takes a free kick for Paris Saint-Germain. Gives it to Lucas Hernandez, who came on as a half-time sub. Kvaratskhelia on the halfway line, short to Vitinha. There's a hunger about Spurs, though, and they force Paris Saint-Germain back again.
Sticking to the game plan, pressing from the front in the 2 front players that they've got, Richarlison and Moani. When they're out of possession, they set the tone, they set the tempo. 2 fullbacks, Spence and Porro, join them, and they press really high up. But once again, PSG are unable to keep hold of possession.
Yeah, Paris Saint-Germain, who'll be used to teams coming to press them, but not with the quality, the energy of that in the French league, as we see some of the Paris Saint-Germain substitutes warming up, and down amongst them is Ilias Zabarnyi, who's a familiar name from his time at Bournemouth in the Premier League, played against Spurs several times in the past. He's amongst the PSG substitutes. Here's a chance, Fabian Ruiz Ruiz, he's in and he scores for Paris Saint-Germain. It's a 5th goal of the game, but for the first time tonight, the Champions League holders get their noses in front. Lovely little interchange on the edge of the penalty area, and somehow Tottenham's defence just seemed to disintegrate. He had time, he had space, nobody picking up Fabian Ruiz, and it's Paris Saint-Germain 3, Tottenham 2.
Oh, it's woeful from Tottenham. It's really woeful from Tottenham Hotspur. Defending, the goalkeeper gives the ball out to Christian Romero, who in turn he turns and he plays the ball into midfield. Papsar's facing his own goal. He gets dispossessed far too easily at the edge of his own box, and the ball comes to Fabian Ruiz inside of his left foot, tucks it upon the reach of Vicario. Nothing the goalkeeper can do, but that's defensive suicide from Tottenham. It really is. It's awful from Vicario. It's awful from Romero. Sends Papsar a ball into his feet. He's back to play. Blue light on the ball. Hospital pass. Gets caught in possession into Fabian Ruiz. He's not going to miss from that distance. Awful defending from Tottenham. Really is.
It's only a second Champions League goal of his career for Fabian Ruiz, the Spaniard. They've both come against Premier League teams now. He scored against Arsenal in the semi-final last season. He has scored tonight a gift-wrapped goal at the Parc des Princes against Tottenham Hotspur. Spurs, who've been in front twice tonight, find themselves for the first time behind.
I can't believe that on the basis of what I've seen tonight from Tottenham and their performance. Mistakes like that, they've taken no chances, they've cleared the lines, they've played longer, they've not put the ball at risk. Why they've reverted to that tactic to playing out from the back? It's the straight pass we see from the goalkeeper. Played a straight pass into Christian Romero, who was immediately surrounded by 2 Paris attackers to press him. He in turn turns and he plays it to Papsar in such a dangerous position. Yes, you can blame Papsar for losing possession in the area, but the ball he was given, in the area he was given it, he had no chance. He was immediately surrounded by Hernandez, nicked the ball off him, and then the rest was a formality. It's such poor schoolboy defending from Tottenham. It really is.
That is damaging for Thomas Frank. Half an hour to play. Paris Saint-Germain 3, Tottenham 2. News reaching us of a great night for Kylian Mbappe. We told you earlier he had completed a hat-trick inside half an hour tonight against Olympiacos in the Champions League. Mbappe has just got his 4th goal of the night, so it's Olympiacos 2, Real Madrid 4. Olympiacos had led 1-0 after 8 minutes in that game. The scores elsewhere. Atalanta have got a 3rd away at Eintracht Frankfurt in the Champions League. 2 goals in very quick succession there for the Italian. In fact, actually 3 goals. They've scored 3 goals in 4 minutes, Atalanta there. Had to turn what had been 0-0 into a 3-0 advantage. 5 goals at Parc des Princes this evening. 3 of them for Paris Saint-Germain. And after losing to Bayern Munich at this stadium last time out, this is the sort of response Luis Enrique would have wanted to see.
They've certainly shown character. Luis Enrique's Paris side coming from behind twice and then taking the lead. But Tottenham, they've done so well in this game. That mistake hasn't been in the performance. It's been so uncharacteristic to the performance that we've seen from them. Why Vicario put the ball at risk, why Romero put the ball at risk. In that area, there's no need to take chances for what they would gain from being able to play out in that situation. Just go longer.
Here is Kvaratskhelia on the halfway line. Lovely turn on Pedro Porro, accelerating away. Kvaratskhelia really is so good to watch when he's in full flow. Cuts back at himself and lays it to Vitinha. There's a bit of a swagger about Paris Saint-Germain now that they've got their noses in front for the first time. They've been given a scare here by Spurs, but the hosts will hope that they are on top now. Still time for Thomas Frank's team to try and get into it, of course. Marquinhos to the right-hand side to Lee. Comes in field of Bergvall, rolls it low to the feet of the 18-year-old Njatu. He lays the ball off to another youngster, the 19-year-old Warren Zaire-Emery. Now Fabian Ruiz on the halfway line, scorer of the goal that has Paris Saint-Germain in front here. He'll touch it back to William Pacho. Pacho to the left-hand side to Lucas Hernandez. Now it's Vitinha again. And Paris Saint-Germain are exerting a sort of control. We haven't seen much of them from tonight. They're very controlled in possession. It's an evening they've seen a lot of the ball, but this isn't flustered. They're not chasing anymore. They've got the lead to defenders. Romero is too rough at Njatu, and that's a free kick to Paris Saint-Germain.
There's a mood switch, isn't there, in the stadium? You can almost just feel it. There's an atmosphere switch. All of a sudden, normal service has been resumed. What the supporters have turned up here tonight and expected to see has been implemented in front of them, and Paris seem to have, like you say, that swagger, that confidence in possession. Tottenham dropping off now, allowing them possession. Vitinha controlling possession, controlling the tempo of the game.
Spurs, who have now conceded more goals in this one game tonight than they had done in Europe all season before this evening. They've given it away again. Christian Romero to Vitinha, 10-15 yards outside the penalty area. Ball into Njantu, who doesn't control, and the ball goes out for a goal kick to Spurs. And Tottenham get away with that one.
I don't know what's happened to the Tottenham defence. It's like they've just switched off. All of a sudden the concentration levels have gone, and even there in the near side it looked like it had gone out for a goal kick, but it was actually Pedro Porro who swung his left boot at it, and the referee was right on the spot. It was a close call, but he's given a corner to Paris.
Corner kick to Paris Saint-Germain, 25 minutes to play. Spurs have everyone back defending this one. Goals from Charleston tonight and Koulibaly. Tottenham still trail. Lee sends in the corner, missed by Jed Spence at the front post, and it's in! It's a fourth goal for Paris Saint-Germain, and it's Willian Pacho. It's the Ecuadorian defender who celebrates his second Champions League goal of the campaign. Well, until a few weeks ago, he'd never scored a goal in his club career. Scored against Leverkusen in October, scores against Spurs tonight, but that was atrocious defending from Tottenham. How didn't they get the corner away?
And he won't score an easier goal, Pacho. If he gets opportunities like that every week, he'll get 10 or 15 a season. Such a really poor defensive corner from Tottenham. Left foot outswinger, comes across at head height. Jed Spence misses it at the near post. He should head it. Bentancur misses it. Papsar misses it. Bobbles around off Richarlison's foot, and Pacho says, "Thank you very much, I'll poke that into an empty far post." And Tottenham have imploded. Defensively terrible for the last two goals.
Imploded is the word. They've conceded 3 times now in the last 12 minutes. Spurs, who were leading 2-1 in Paris, conceding those 3 goals, and they are now 4-2 behind.
And the atmosphere has certainly changed inside the stadium. The ultras away to our left are in full voice, the stands bouncing. They believe that the job's done. Tottenham have been the masters of their own downfall, from being in the game for so long to conceding 2 goals in that manner. Thomas Frank will be going absolutely crazy, because they're just simple errors.
2 games in a row now that Spurs have conceded 4 goals. They lost 4-1 in the North London derby on Sunday, 4-2 down tonight. There's still a long way to go as a shot is cracked in by Fabian Ruiz, and by Kang. Vicario makes probably his best save of the evening as Kangin Lee shot it. He was heading towards that bottom corner, Vicario to push it away. It nearly got worse for Spurs there.
That was on its way. That was heading the way to the bottom corner, bottom right corner of Vicario's goal. For everything that Tottenham have done right this evening until that point, they've just undone it. They're all over the shop defensively now. Body language, you can see the heads are down. Richarlison's heads are down. There needs to be a leader in there. There needs to be somebody saying, right, that's it now. We go back to the performance we had before we just conceded these 2 goals. Because at the moment, defensively, they're a shambles.
Here comes the corner for Paris Saint-Germain. Played in from the far side there left. Headed by Pedro Porro. Back outside the penalty area to Lucas Hernandez. He'll give it to Lee again. Dangerous ball right across the edge of the 6-yard box. Marquinhos hit the deck inside there, claiming he was fouled. Referee says play on. Njantu tries to take on Archie Gray. Gray's been able to win the ball back off him, and then challenged by Njantu. The ball goes out for a goal kick to Spurs, who are trailing by 4-2 in Paris tonight. Paul Robinson
needs some calm heads on the pitch now. It's been a crazy 10-15 minutes for Tottenham. Defensively, they've been pulled apart. They've conceded 2 really, really poor goals. Body language on the last corner that PSG had, there was no voices in there. Van de Ven, Romero, Bentancur, Porro, the senior players now, they need to stand up and they need to take time, get some control back, and try somehow to get their way back into this game after conceding 2 such poor goals.
This is worrying for Spurs. I mean, to be behind away from home with the reigning Champions League holders, that's never a disgrace in itself. Just the manner in which they've just imploded in the second half will be very worrying. It's something that Spurs fans saw happen with regularity under Ange Postecoglou when they'd suddenly just concede a whole raft of goals, but not to this extent. I mean, this is now the first time that Spurs have conceded 4 goals in back-to-back games since Glenn Hoddle was the manager back in 2003.
And you didn't see that coming in this performance, did you? You really didn't see that coming. They've performed so well, both offensively and defensively. They were sticking to the game plan. Okay, they've conceded a couple of goals, but they're playing against the European champions. They've put on a much better show took better account of themselves, offered things going forward, but then to concede in the manner that they've done, wow.
Yeah, worrying for Spurs, who had been doing so well in the live Champions League phase table. Paris Saint-Germain will be moving up to 3rd place. Tottenham could be slipping back to 15th. Remember, they hadn't lost in the competition before tonight. Here is Kvaratskhelia to the byline again. Jed Spencer's got to be careful here. He goes down to the penalty area, fouled by Lee, and that is a free kick to Spurs inside their own box. But Kvaratskhelia, the latest Paris Saint-Germain player to beat a defender, to send in a dangerous cross, and PSG are doing that with regularity at the moment.
Said in the first half, spoke about this defensive shape, about the tightness of the unit. Take all of that back, and this is the complete opposite at the moment. You know, there's no organisation in that back four. They've been pulled apart, and at the moment Paris Saint-Germain are creating holes and getting past them at will. It's surely only a matter of time before Thomas Frank has to change something.
There's been so much going on in this game. We've got to bring you up to date with what's happening elsewhere. In London, Arsenal have regained the lead against Bayern Munich. Noni Madueke has scored. Arsenal 2, Bayern Munich 1. Sporting have got a 3rd goal against Club Brugge, and Queen's Park Rangers have taken the lead away at Blackburn in the Championship. Paul Smith has scored a late goal there. Blackburn Rovers 0, Blackburn Rangers 0, Queen's Park Rangers 1. Blackburn Rovers 0, Queen's Park Rangers 1. I'll get it right the 3rd time. Elsewhere in Europe tonight, Liverpool are still trailing. They're into the final quarter of an hour at Anfield. It's just got worse. News reaches us of a 3rd goal for PSV Eindhoven. So Liverpool 1, PSV 3, Liverpool heading towards another home defeat.
I was there last week against the Nottingham Forest side, who came and they were very, very organised, made it extremely hard for Liverpool, scored 3 goals. And listen, they've not been themselves, have they? I mean, you look at the results that they've had, lost six of the last 7 Premier League games, lost 3-0 twice in a row, Man City and Nottingham Forest, sat 11th in the Premier League, lost 6, and they conceded 20 goals. I mean, the goals that they're conceding are so uncharacteristic, and going forward, that's going to be a huge blow, and that's not going to stop any talk of problems at Liverpool, a result like that.
It's the 3rd game in a row that Liverpool have conceded 3. As Paris Saint-Germain trying to come forward here at Parc des Princes. Vitinha, the furthest player forward. Porro, the last line of defence. Porro does well. Clears it away up towards the halfway line to Richarlison. Richarlison, who gave Spurs the lead at 1-0, seems a long time ago now. Here, Pacho, one of the scorers tonight for Paris Saint-Germain, rolls the ball back to Lucas Chevalier, the goalkeeper. Now, another Lucas Hernandez on the left-hand side, pushes it up to Injantu. It doesn't look like a kid who's only ever played 9 senior games in his career before tonight. Look at this, doing little chop turns and flicking the ball away from Pedro Porro. And we mentioned the French confidence swagger about Paris Saint-Germain. That's just growing and growing all the time. PSG 4, Tottenham 2 for now.
They're in full control of this game, dominating possession. Tottenham look shell-shocked, they don't know what's hit them. What's hit them is poor pieces of defending and allowing PSG to take the game by the scruff of its neck. PSG are now in a place where they're controlling the tempo. The supporters are singing, and the atmosphere inside the stadium is exactly where they would have wanted it to be. And from 2 difficult situations for Paris, Tottenham allowed them back into the game.
Maybe a chance. Kolo Muani into the penalty area for Spurs. It's falling well for him. What a goal that is! It's back to 4-3. This game continues to provide the entertainment octave. Paris Saint-Germain 4, Tottenham 3. It's a 7-goal thriller in Paris, and that goal from Randall Kolo Muani. 2 goals in the game now for him. His first 2 goals for Spurs, both of them against his parent club here, and suddenly it's a glimmer of hope for Thomas Frank's team. They've got it back to 4-3.
What a game this is. As poor as Tottenham's defending is there, Vitinha said, "I'll see you and I'll raise you." That was an awful piece of defending from the Paris Saint-Germain midfielder. He scored 2 wonderful goals tonight, but he just won straight out the Tottenham Hotspur copybook from Pape Sarr. Loses possession. Bentancur doesn't have to do a lot to dispossess him. 25 yards from goal, pokes it through to Muani on the angle, 12 yards out, smashes it past Chevalier, and in the most unlikeliest of circumstances, when this game looked completely out of reach for Tottenham, they got a chance.
Right, and suddenly Thomas Frank is motivated now. He's up at his feet. He's about to make a double change. João Palhinha's going to come on, and Mohamed Kudus as well, who's been a real creative live wire for Spurs this season. Tell you what, I have to say, Paul, I thought this was slipping away from Spurs. They've still got a chance here.
Well, Paris have just given Tottenham away back into the game in exactly the same way as what Tottenham did. For Paris, it was an awful piece of, it wasn't even a piece of defending from Vitinha. He was in comfortable possession in the centre of the park.
How do PSG PSG respond to this. Lee into the penalty area. Zaire Emery tries to shoot. Christian Romero sliding across, makes a very good interception, and Tottenham get it away up to Richarlison. Still midway inside his own half, gives a poor ball back to Jed Spence, and that keeps Tottenham under pressure for now. That was a great lunge by Romero. Had to be brave, just throwing his body in the way as the shot was being fired in there. Paris Saint-Germain 4, Tottenham Hotspur 3. Thrilling night in the Champions League, with Arsenal leading against Bayern Munich, and with Liverpool 3-1 down at home at Anfield against PSV Eindhoven. This is João Neves for the reigning Champions League holders. Gives it to Lee on the right-hand side, onto Kvaratskhelia, who's picking up so many dangerous positions now. Dribbles into the penalty area, tries to take them all on. Still going, Kvaratskhelia. He hits the deck. Vitinha's in looking for a hat-trick. Shoots, they want a penalty and they're going to get it. Penalty to Paris Saint-Germain. Handball, we think, from Christian Romero.
Yeah, Christian Romero comes flying out towards Vitinha. Getting to see the replay very quickly. Romero comes sliding out, feet first, right foot in the air, but also, unluckily for Christian Romero, as well as his right foot in the air, so is his right arm. Referee right in front of it immediately points to the spot. It's harsh, it's tough, it's fired at him from a close range, but his right foot's in the air, so's his right arm. Referee's given it. I can't see what world that this is overturned.
It's already been approved by the video assistant referee. And with 15 minutes to go, Paris Saint-Germain are going to get the opportunity here to re-establish a 2-goal lead. What a game it's been tonight. And Vitinha, who's on a hat-trick, remember, looks like he's going to take the responsibility. It's Vitinha who's placing the ball on the spot.
Connor, me and you in European nights. What is it with me and you in European nights? Was it the Harry Maguire?
Oh. Right. 4-3, but the opportunity to make it 5-3, and this has somewhat taken some of the gusto out of this double change. Spurs bring on João Palhinha and Mohamed Kudus anyway. The players who go off are Bergvall and Gray, two of the youngsters. But the impact of those substitutes might well be impeded if Vitinha is able to score here. Before tonight, he'd never scored 2 goals in a game for Paris Saint-Germain. This is the opportunity for his hat-trick. Vitinha puts Vicario the wrong way, and it's Paris Saint-Germain 5, Tottenham Hotspur 3 at Parc des Princes in Paris.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, this game, isn't it? And it's the gift that keeps on giving both defences. I mean, it's certainly not one for the purist if you enjoy defending tonight, but if you enjoy watching goals in a brilliant game, it's been a superb goal, but defensively both sides have been woeful. Christian Romero, to be fair to him there, he was putting everything that he had on the line to try and block that shot from Vitinha. It was close range, but his arm was up in the air. Good penalty from Vitinha in the end. Calm, decisive, straightish run up. Vicario dives early to his right hand side. Vitinha with his instep sends him the wrong way, tucks it in the bottom left hand corner. 5-3, and we've got time for more.
Vitinha just re-establishing what an important player he is to this Paris Saint-Germain team. Goal difference will swing PSG up to 3rd in the table as things stand. Tottenham are down languishing in 15th now. They've just spiralled all evening as the goals go in against them. There are 13 minutes plus the stoppages to go here. João Palhinha and Mo Kudus are on for Spurs, but Thomas Frank's team are 2 goals behind again, and their job might be about to get a bit worse because the Ballon d'Or winner, Ousmane Dembele, is about to come on for PSG.
Yeah, that's not a sight that you want to see when you conceded 5 goals.
He's perhaps hard down the other end. I'll tell you, it's one of those games you just never know. Kudus involved for the first time on the edge of the penalty area. Back to Porro, placing it just too far in front of Richarlison, and Jed Spence, I don't think he's going to be able to keep it in play. No, the ball had gone out. That was really lashed in by Porro, needed a more delicate delivery. It is a free kick to Paris Saint-Germain, and here comes Dembele.
Well, they're not giving up, Tottenham, that's one thing you can say for them. Defensively, how poor they've been in the second half. Still, even at 5-3 down, they're putting bodies forward. They had an overload at that point in the Paris Saint-Germain box. It was a really poor ball into the box from Pedro Porro. Needed a little bit more quality.
It's a double change for the hosts, as well as Dembele. Ramos is going to come on too, Gonzalo Ramos. So the youngster Quinton Injantu makes way, and Kvaratskhelia will go out of the team as well. So Ramos will slot in as a central attacker. Dembele, you'd imagine, will play out wide in place of Kvaratskhelia. but it just emphasises the strength of this Paris Saint-Germain squad to bring on two players of that calibre this late in the game.
Not two players you want to see from a Tottenham point of view, is it, when you already conceded 5? Ramos and Dembele. Dembele would have started the game. Obviously he wasn't fully fit. Get some minutes in his legs now, looking towards the league campaign and obviously the rest of the Champions League. Ramos coming on, and he's the number 9 that they've not really played with tonight. They've had an interchange of the front 3, whereas he will play as an out-and-out striker.
Those were Dembele, who has scored against Spurs in the Champions League in the past, back for his old team. Barcelona, there were 11 minutes of normal time to play here. Tottenham, who've twice had the lead in the game, are trailing here by 5 goals to 3. Warren Zaire-Emery at right back for Paris Saint-Germain gives the ball in centrally to Fabian Ruiz, one of the goal scorers tonight. He's on the halfway line. Over to the left-hand side, Ramos doesn't control with his first touch, and the ball goes out for a throw into Spurs.
Well, they've increased the goal-scoring average tonight, Paris Saint-Germain. They've won 6 of the last 7 league phase games, averaging 3.6 goals per game. So we should have known what we're in for tonight, really, shouldn't we?
The goals have absolutely flowed, and they're beginning to flow at the Emirates too. Listen to this: Arsenal 3, Bayern Munich 1. Gabriel Martinelli has joined the party for Mikel Arteta's team, and Bayern Munich, one of the best teams in Europe, are now 3-1 down at the Emirates. What a season this is turning into for Arsenal fans. Elsewhere, all over, Wrexham have beaten Bristol City in the Championship. Sheffield United take all 3 points at home against Portsmouth. At Anfield, Liverpool is still trailing 3-1 against PSV Eindhoven, and we move into the last 10 minutes of play at Parc des Princes in Paris on Sports Extra for BBC Radio 5 Live.
You still don't feel that this game's over. The woefulness of defending from both sides this evening led you to think that there may still be some more goals to come. If Tottenham get one now, they're going to have to get one quick. Would certainly make things interesting, especially the attacking prowess that Paris have just brought onto the field.
Yes, and speaking of exciting games, they've had 8 goals in the match here tonight. There's been 7 goals at Olympiacos, who are refusing to give up themselves. They've just got it back to 4-3 behind against Real Madrid. Olympiacos 3, Real Madrid 4, still playing in Greece in the Champions League. Pedro Porro has picked up an injury here. He has ran into Gonzalo Ramos, who I don't think really fouls him, but that would have been a painful one for Pedro Porro, as Thomas Frank, who's recently brought on Mohamed Kudus and João Palhinha, is now about to bring on Xavi Simons as well. He doesn't have much time to go. 9 minutes plus the stoppages. Spurs still need 2 goals here.
Definitely staying up for match of the day tonight, Connor.
Match of the day, which you can watch highlights of all of match day 5, last night's games and this evening's, and watch on BBC One at 10:40 with Kelly Cates this evening. This is Sports Extra for the BBC and BBC Sounds tonight. Exciting game in Paris, but Spurs about to lose again, having been beaten by Arsenal in the North London derby on Sunday.
They've actually changed to a back 3. Paulinho, since he's come on, he's slotted in between Romero and Van der Ven, which has allowed the 2 fullbacks the opportunity to push really high.
I feel like Thomas Frank really wants to play with 3 at the back, but the performances are not matching that desire. Good work from Pape Sarr here in the midfield. Very good as he raised it out to Randall Koulibaly down the left-hand side. Koulibaly already had 2 goals in the game. Could he possibly get a hat-trick against his former employers? Porro shoots with his left foot, takes a deflection, and the goalkeeper reacts brilliantly. Chevalier is back. It came off Lucas Hernandez. The goalkeeper found himself scurrying. I don't know, Paul, if it would have gone in under the crossbar, but he had to be sure. That's excellent goalkeeping.
That's a wicked deflection, horrible as a goalkeeper. Pedro Porro hits it with his left foot. It's going into the right-hand corner, takes a wicked deflection off Hernandez, completely the opposite corner. Goalkeeper does well, makes tracks all the way across his goal and helps it over the bar.
QPR get a late goal and win at Ewood Park in the Championship. Blackburn Rovers 0, Queen's Park Rangers 1. Here comes the corner for Spurs. 82.5 minutes on the big stadium clock. Played in with an in-swinger. Pacho gets his head to it, comes out to Porro, tries to shoot, off-target shot, comes back to him. This is Bentancur. Tottenham is still on the attack. Kudus outside the penalty area in the right-hand side, swings it in towards the far top corner, and it's just too high. And it's a goal kick to Paris Saint-Germain, and they still lead by 5 goals to 3. What a game.
That's a waste from Kudus. It's a decent corner and the ball comes back out to him. Spurs work the ball back to Kudus in a wide area. He's got an opportunity there. They've got an overload at the far post. It's a really clumsy ball to the far post from Kudus. It was crying out for just a ball helped into the 6-yard box, but he overhit it. Surrenders possession.
Triple change here late on for Thomas Frank. He's bringing on Dogi He is taking off Jed Spence, so that'll be a straight swap at left back. Simons has come on for Koulibaly in attack, so no hat-trick for Randall Koulibaly, and he's returned to Parc des Princes this evening, but an impressive 2 goals for the Frenchman. And also coming on is Wilson Odobert, who's taken the place of Pape Sarr, who I thought played well tonight in the midfield. So Frank is throwing a final throw of the dice here, bringing on some attacking players, hoping against hope that his team might still have 2 goals in them for something here.
Yeah, this is the last roll of the dice from Thomas Frank, going the forward areas. A lot of attacking players on the pitch now. Kudus, Richarlison, Simons, Odobert. Udogie will push forward at every opportunity on the left-hand side. They need something, and they need it quick, Tottenham.
Late equaliser at the Hawthorns for Birmingham City. West Bromwich Albion 1, Birmingham City 1, still playing. Here's Odobert, involved for the first time onto his right boot, tries to shoot at the near post, into the side netting for Spurs, who still trail 5-3.
It's old school, isn't it? It literally is end to end. It's like a game in the playground, no defending whatsoever. I mean, in the first half you could see the structure of Tottenham, the way that they'd worked on a solid structure that moved together up and down the field, tried to negate spaces, tried to make it hard for Paris to get through them, and it worked. But then all of a sudden in the second half the game's just opened up, and it's like 2 heavyweight boxers just slugging punches at each other.
What a night it's been in the Champions League. Liverpool is still trailing at home at Anfield against PSV Eindhoven by 3-1. Arsenal is still 3-1 up at home against Bayern Munich. 5-3 in Paris with Spurs, who did lead both 1-0 and 2-1 earlier on this evening, now 5-3 behind. In the other games, Kylian Mbappe has scored 4 goals tonight for Real Madrid as they lead Olympiacos by 4-3, and they're still playing there. Highlights on the BBC Sport website and app, as well as on Match of the Day this evening. Now here's Fabian Ruiz, who can't be offside because he started inside his own half. Down the left he comes, swings the ball infield to João Neves. João Neves dinks into the penalty area. Dembele heads it down. Gonzalo Ramos couldn't get the shot away. That was almost a brilliant goal for Paris Saint-Germain, and Spurs just about hang on with 4.5 minutes to play. Here come Paris Saint-Germain again. Little flick of the ball by Fabian Ruiz. Vitinha, who scored a hat-trick tonight, gives it to Kang-in Lee on the right-hand side. Spurs are beginning to look tired now. Warren Zaire-Emery. It's an evening when Paris Saint-Germain have reminded us just why they won the Champions League last season, just what a good team they are. Here they come again. Dembele touches it for Ramos. Ramirez under pressure. Ramos tries to squeeze it in, and Vicario makes a save as the offside flag is raised, and it wouldn't have counted. Gonzalo Ramos had straight offside.
That's the problem that Tottenham are going to have this late in the game as we enter the final 4 minutes of the game. If they can push forward and they've got these attacking players on the pitch looking to try and get something, some kind of leverage and foot back in the game, they're going to leave spaces, they're going to leave holes. And when you've got the quality of Lee, Ramos, Dembele, those type of players on the pitch, you always run the risk of leaving yourself open at the back, which is almost what happened.
So Paris Saint-Germain 5, Tottenham Hotspur 3. 3.5 minutes of normal time remaining. The goals tonight: Richarlison getting 1, Koulibaly getting 2 for Spurs. And the goals from Paris Saint-Germain, a hat-trick from Vitinha, added to by goals from Fabian Ruiz and from the Ecuadorian defender Pacho. This is Lee in possession for Paris Saint-Germain, and fouled by Mickey van de Ven. Free kick to the home side, who are almost there for another victory in the Champions League.
Another example of Tottenham still pressing high. That's one noticeable difference that we've seen from them tonight. That's Mickey van de Ven. I know they're chasing the game, but the centre-back alongside Udogie, it was previous to that was Jed Spence. 20-25 yards from the PSG goal. They press, and they press high as a unit, and that's been, it's been a sign of their performance tonight. They've come up short again, but they've come up short largely down to their own downfall, lacking defensive quality. Their own mistakes have led to letting Paris get back in the game, and you're always going to get hurt when you're playing against a team with such quality.
Spurs, who of course were the Europa League last season, a competition they won. They've only lost one of the last 10 games in the Champions League. That was a defeat away at Milan in February 2023. Tonight we've seen some of the good of Spurs, but we've seen some of the old problems that still linger as well. Thomas Frank, I don't think he'll be looking forward to the questions in the press conference. He was already under pressure coming into this game after the manner of the performance, as much as the heavy defeat result at the Emirates on Sunday. 2 minutes of normal time to play. Vitinha back to William Pacho. His clearance is cut out by Pedro Porro. Spurs still trying to inject late energy in the game. Odegaard, good hustling from Odegaard. He's managed to ghost through 2 tackles. Gives it to Kudus on the edge of the box. Kudus taking on Dembele. Manages to swing it across. Simons was close to it. Comes down on the edge of the box for Christian Romero, who tries to shoot, but that's blocked. Bentancur keeps it alive here, giving the ball to a Dougie on the left-hand side. Spurs trying to catch a second breath here. Bentancur hangs in the cross. Richarlison got up well, but couldn't get a clean header. Jumps again, and it just won't sit up for Kudus as the ball is cleared away by Gonzalo Ramos, and Paris Saint-Germain could be away in a counter-attack now. Spurs have committed a lot of yellow shirts forward. Referee, who's let a lot go tonight, allows play to continue as João Neves gives it out to Ousmane Dembele on the left-hand side. We're about to move into the final minute of the 90. This is 5 Live Sports Extra and BBC Sounds. 5-3 to Paris Saint-Germain at Parc des Princes against Tottenham. Zaire Emery to the near touchline to Kang-in Lee, and all Spurs can do is watch as Paris Saint-Germain play it back into a central defensive position once again, and back to William Bacho.
What Thomas Frank's seen tonight, he will face some difficult questions in the press conference.
What a ball that is, and Dembele is through for the first time tonight. He can see the whites of the eyes of the keeper, and he didn't want to take it on himself. He tried to tee it up for Gonzalo Ramos. Mickey van der Ven, we know how fast he is. He was able to get back and make the interception.
He's made the wrong decision there, Dembele, hasn't he? Can't help but thinking a fully fit, fully matched firing Dembele runs straight towards the goalkeeper and unleashes it, puts it in the back of the net. He kind of waits, doesn't he? Stumbles across it. He sees Gonzalo Ramos on his right shoulder, goes to play the ball across the box, and Van der Ven intercepts. Just thinking, fully fit Dembele, he runs forward with that, doesn't he? He takes
He's not even looking for support there. Absolutely. Right, the 90 minutes are up. Into stoppage as we go. 4 minutes to be added on at Parc des Princes. Most of those for the goal celebrations in the second half for Paris Saint-Germain. Corner to the home side. Lee to take it on the left. Swings it in. Good jump on the ball for João Neves. Can't actually propel it goal-bound though. Spurs slam the ball away. Lucas Hernandez picks it up, one of the deepest lying Paris Saint-Germain players. And then it's Lee involved again. Little back heel to João Neves. The hero tonight has been Vitinha for Paris Saint-Germain. The 3 goals for the Portuguese international. Into the penalty area they come again. Down in the box goes Gonzalo Ramos. Referee says play on. Richarlison does play on. Strong in the challenge with Pacho. Could be a chance here for Xavi Simons if he can get there. But he's beaten to the ball by Lucas Hernandez, who seemed to elbow Xavi Simons just as they both came into contact with each other. There was a movement of the arm from Lucas Hernandez, and I wouldn't be surprised if the video assistant referee is going to have a look at this. Late on some late drama. It may be too late to save Spurs tonight, but the defender could be in trouble here.
That looked naughty. That really did look naughty. It is as well. We're just getting to see the replay. Hernandez gets there first, and he pulls his left arm back, and he smashes it full into the face of Simons. VAR will interject here, and he will get sent off. If he doesn't, there is no point in VAR. It's horrendous by Hernandez. There's absolutely no need to do it. He gets back in, he gets back goal side, and somebody's just gone down to Luis Enrique on the PSG bench and whispered it in his ear. He's going to get sent off here. That was a terrible elbow. If he doesn't get sent off here, VAR, there is no point in being at the ground. VAR will interject, and Hernandez will be sent off. It's an awful elbow.
An important thing to say is it's all outside the penalty area, so it's not going to be a penalty for Spurs. They are still 5-3 down. Referee's been called over. He's got to go. I mean, even in real time, Paul, we thought that was elbow and would have to be a straight red card.
But I don't know why he does it. It's pure stupidity. He gets goal side of Hernandez. He rolls the ball back to his goalkeeper. Danger averted. And as he's kicked the ball back, he chooses just to lash out with his left elbow. Fully means it. Catches Simons right in the face. He looks at him, puts his arm back, smacks him. It's a good old-fashioned elbow, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you don't see many as blatant as that these days. I mean, he knows Simons is coming in. Sure, stir to your shoulder, be ready for contact, but no need for that at all. And Lucas Hernandez is sent off. He was red-carded at the Club World Cup in the summer against his old team, Bayern Munich. That was for an elbow too, an elbow on Rafael Guerreiro, I remember. But now Lucas Hernandez sent off in stoppages at Parc des Princes. It's probably too late for Spurs to try and salvage anything from the game, but Thomas Frank's team will finish against 10 men here at Barras.
Stupid, mindless, absolutely uncalled for. I don't know why he's done that, I really don't. I mean, he's walking off the pitch. I mean, some of his own players have consoled him, but when they see it, they won't be consoling him. I mean, he's lucky now that we're into 3 minutes of 4 added on as he trudges off the pitch down. I mean, it's one of the worst you'll see. That takes us back to the 80s, doesn't it? That was an old-fashioned elbow. Turns around, looks where the opponent is, and goes wallop of that. It was awful.
Yeah, it looked worse on every replay. Vitinha will get the hero's ovation because Luis Enrique wants to bring on a defender here to cover for the dismissed Lucas Hernandez. So Vitinha is the player who's hooked to allow Ilya Zabanye to come on. What an applause, what an ovation from a Paris Saint-Germain fan base who already love this guy, but this is new territory. He's never scored a hat-trick for the team before.
He's been superb, he really has. He's almost been unplayable defensively as well, and at only 25 years of age. You look at this Paris Saint-Germain team, I mean, there was a stat I looked at before this game. 13 of PSG's 52 Champions League goals since the start of last season have been scored by players 21 years or younger. And then you look at Vitinha, he's only 25, and you look at this squad, and you said it earlier, Connor, gone are the days where these huge superstars, this isn't a mass of quality young players. Yes, they have got individual stars, but by the team is the star.
Free kick after all of that for Spurs. It'll be added on. There's still probably a good 2 minutes to go here, even though we've played over the 4. Pedro Porro stands over the free kick, hits it too high, over the wall, over the crossbar. It remains Paris Saint-Germain 5. Tottenham Hotspur 3. Now there's been so much going on here, just have to bring you up to date with some stuff from elsewhere. Birmingham got a late equaliser at the Hawthorns. West Bromwich Albion 1, Birmingham 1. Liverpool conceded another one. It is all over at Anfield. It's finished Liverpool 1, PSV Eindhoven 4. Arne Slot's deep hole just gets deeper and deeper. Great success for Arsenal tonight all over the Emirates. They have beaten Bayern Munich by 3-1. We'll have coverage and all that very shortly here on Sports Extra when we join up with 5 Live and Mark Chapman in the studio. But what a game that this has been in Paris tonight. 8 goals scored in it. Paris Saint-Germain finishing with 10 men. Tottenham, who had twice held the lead in the game, played very well for long periods, but some rudimentary, elementary errors from Thomas Frank's team have exposed their frailties, and you simply don't get away with that against a team of the quality of the Champions League holders.
And I think that's the thing. Actually tonight, Thomas Frank will look at this and go, okay, I can see positives from this. For an hour they played well, they offered a lot going forward, as they still are doing now. They're still trying.
Xavi Simons is tripped by Ousmane Dembele. Free kick again to Spurs. 11 men playing 10 in the closing stages here, but the ball was rolling as Spurs tried to take the free kick, and the referee makes them come back and take it again. We've played almost 6 minutes of stoppages. There was due to be 4. That late delay with the straight red card shown to Lucas Hernandez as Kudus tries to make a burst towards the byline down the right-hand side, and he's going to win a corner for his team. Corner for Spurs. It would be really on a knife edge if they just needed 1 goal here, but it's just not going to happen to get 2 when we've already played 2 minutes more than the original allocation of stoppages. Corner to Spurs, nevertheless. Lucas Chevalier, the goalkeeper, bouncing at his goal line, comes out, tries to palm the ball away, and he's been pushed, and that's a free kick to Paris Saint-Germain, and that should be that tonight, and Spurs are heading home defeated.
It would have been too little too late for Tottenham. This deep into stoppage time now, added time. A few dejected figures out there in yellow shirts. I was saying Thomas Frank, he will take positives from this. You can see from this performance that they put in an effort going forward.
Well, there you go. The final whistle blows at the Parc des Princes. That's Champions League entertainment for you. 8 goals in the game and a red card as well. But some of the same old problems for Thomas Frank's team, Tottenham, as Spurs, well, it's another defeat. It's another heavy scoreline against them after losing 4-1, and the pain of the North London derby at Arsenal on Sunday. Paris Saint-Germain have bounced back from their defeat at home here to Bayern Munich the last time in this competition. It's been the Vitinha show this evening as Paris Saint-Germain just too strong for Spurs. 5-3, Paul Robinson.
Spurs were the master of their own downfall, or the start of their own downfall, if you like, because for an hour they played so well in this game. They conceded 2 goals to Vitinha, which were not unavoidable. Defensively, they could have done better with them getting the ball to Vitinha. But 2 fantastic strikes, and if the game had finished 2-2, Thomas Frank would have come away and said, do you know what, okay, we put on a performance. But what I will say for Tottenham is they had a different attitude tonight. The attitude, their application, the closing down, the game plan started higher up the field. there was a lot more to be positive about Tottenham tonight, but you unpack the game, there was a lot more to be a lot less positive about the defending. The way that they gifted Paris Saint-Germain their third, their fourth goals. Defensively they were so poor, but actually the thing for Thomas Frank tonight is he will look at that game, and unlike the game at the weekend where he came away scratching his head saying, how did that performance come? I didn't see that performance, that's not the instruction those players had. Tonight he can say, okay, that was the game plan we had, but actually that went wrong, and we were defensively poor. He can put his finger on points that went wrong tonight rather than scratching his head at a performance and saying, didn't really recognise my team.
It's been great to have Paul Robinson along for commentary this evening.